In this world, there is a fusion of games and reality. As well as different classes, countless tombs, dungeons, and also monsters. When you kill these monsters, everyone gets experience points, materials, new gear, and other items. However, no matter how ferocious the monster was, it would never compare to awe-inspiring, mystical and rare, possessing unfathomable power. A dragon? At this time in the Third Lungo Academy, the teacher was saying that he had an urgent announcement. The teacher said that today's distribution ceremony will not only affect their ability to go to university, but also their future development. They first and foremost need to be confident in themselves, even though the results don't depend on them. And if they are strong in spirit, there will be a chance to get a combat class. One of the students heard this, and was happy that the day had finally come. It had already been 3 years since he, Lu Fan, came here from the Blue Star. After 3 years, he had a better understanding of this world. There are 3 main groups of classes in this one, with combat classes such as warriors, mages, archers and others at the top. This class has powerful abilities to explore dungeons and collect loot. Everyone dreams of being among them. In the middle of this are the enhancement classes, such as warlocks, healers, and others of a similar nature. They can create special items with powerful effects, but buying the materials will cost a lot of money, so only the rich can afford to buy them. Finally, at the very bottom are the common people, cooks, herbalists, miners and the like. They have to live ordinary lives, work hard to support themselves. His Aunt Han-ku is an excellent cook. She has to work in a small bakery to pay for his education. She is only 8 years older, but she supports him in every way possible. He sees how hard she is trying to survive in the world and provide his aunt with a good life. And now he has to become a better warrior. But suddenly the teacher got a call from the principal and gave him the information. The teacher answered him that he understood everything. The teacher with a smile on his face told the students that the distribution ceremony would begin very soon. It was time to move out. All the students got very excited and started moving out. The teacher came up to Fan and asked what was wrong with him. He is the best in the class, so don't let him worry so much. Suddenly a system appeared in front of his eyes that said congratulations to him. The Super Treasure Maps system has been successfully activated. Fan didn't understand what was going on here. The teacher asked if the guy could hear him. The boy came to his senses and said yes. Fan apologized to his teacher and started to run away shouting that he was already running. He was happy about this and realized that this world couldn't be explored without a system. But he was worried about something else. What use would she be? And he decided that he would think about it later. He had to go through the distribution now. The disciples gathered in front of the big palace and spoke with amazement that it was a distribution crystal. It was the first time they had seen it live. The students looked at him and said, "I wish he was assigned to a combat class." Power! Glory! The guy asked his friend at this point if he believed in fairy tales. There aren't many martial class members in the school. He'd be happy with anything as long as it wasn't the third one. Master said they are starting the distribution ceremony. This priest will conduct today's ceremony. The disciples asked, "Is this the specialist in charge of distribution?" Fan realized that martial classes were indeed different. The system immediately popped up and said that a new skill identifying eye had been obtained. Fan thought, what kind of identification is this? Fan opened the system and seeing the Reaper class realized that it turns out he could see the person's information. But when he saw the Reaper's bill he was even more surprised, for how could his bill be 5 lamb? The teacher got angry and told everyone to be quiet. He said that the disciples whose names he was calling should come out here. Fawn had been looking at the system all this time and realized that his aunt would never make so much money from making steamed buns. The teacher looked at his list and said, Zhang Tao's name. The disciples wondered, would he be a fighting class? And he probably has such high skills after all. Although, of course, the distribution is random, but the better the characteristics, the higher the probability of getting into a fighting class. All the girls were very happy to see him, and said what a handsome boy he is. May he succeed. The teacher was using his balloon, and decided to show which class he would belong to. Suddenly a firelight appeared. The students were shocked, and said it was a mage fireball. Like Naruto. And Zhang Tao is really in the martial arts class. They're so jealous of him. And now he has a bright future. Their brother is so cool. Fan thought that by becoming a fighter, he could say goodbye to ordinary life. The teacher suddenly got angry and told everyone to shut up. Fan looked at all the participants and said that it seemed that only a few people were getting into martial classes, and being placed in a martial class meant a bright future, and the rest of us are forced to live mediocre lives. The guy in front of him said it wasn't so bad. Let him take a look at Li Ping from the third group. Her family is already barely making ends meet, and she got the class with the highest expenses. And it's better to pursue a career, at least the skills are there. Fang realized in his head that his family's finances were also bad. What if he fell into an expensive class? Suddenly, the teacher invited Lu Fan to the stone. People asked if he was here. Fan heard his name and said he was here. When the girls saw him, they shouted that he was handsome too. And now they'll see what he'll be. Fan approached the stone and realized that he was at the finish line. There was no point in being nervous. But suddenly, Fan saw a dark red light, and he thought it was very strange. And then an eye appeared in front of him. People were asking what kind of earthquake was that. All of a sudden they started saying it was a giant dragon. He got a dragon. And it's some kind of hidden class. A student asked the teacher, this is the first student in their school's history to knock out a hidden class. He's from theirs. The teacher replied that if he really got into the hidden class, he would become a dragon blood warrior or a dragon mage. The teacher was very happy to see such a thing and said that he would then become the strongest and go down in history. The teacher looked at it and said that it had been 10 years since anyone had gotten a hidden class. And now he's the best in Lungo. Fan showed his abilities and everyone was greatly surprised. The teacher asked him if he was a dragon blood warrior or a mage. Fan looked at his hands and replied that he was a dragon tamer. Everyone was surprised and the teacher asked that there was such a fight. But how? The teacher got angry and asked him how he could get the most useless thing from the hidden classroom. After the distribution, Fan went to his old city of Jiahai. On the way home, he watched the characterization of his system. He saw that his class was a dragon tamer, and his score was 239. But he couldn't get the students' words out of his head. His students told him that apparently he would have to live an ordinary life. Humans can't tame such a powerful creature after all. And though a hidden class, he's the weakest. The boy asked his friend, the weakest? Isn't Dragon Tamer a hidden class along with Dragon Blood Warrior and Dragon Mage? His friend answered him that of course, but where would one find a dragon, let alone tame one? His teacher told him it was okay, kid, after all, it's still a hidden class after all, limitless potential. And maybe he could tame some sub-dragons and become the strongest. Fang thought, how could he become the strongest? How could a dragon tamer have limitless potential without a dragon? Sub-dragons, these ferocious beasts are nothing compared to dragons. But in the last 800 years, not a single one has been seen, not a single tamer has tamed one. And no matter how powerful humans are, in front of dragons they are only ants, and trying to tame them is like believing in a miracle. And not to mention, without the dragon, he can't even unlock skills. His aunt works so hard to give him a better future, and he can't repay her in kind. Arriving at the bakery, he thought he had rushed straight home after distribution. When he entered the bakery, he told his aunt that he was back. Auntie's name was Hanke, and she had a simple chef's class. She immediately hugged him and told him that her nephew had come. Kay said she had a big day today. How was it? What grade did he get? Fan decided to tell it like it is. Kay replied to him that it was okay if it wasn't a fighting class. She would be very worried if he went off to fight every day. Fan replied to his aunt that no. She's a dragon tamer. And that's a class where you can't go far without a dragon. Kay was not upset, and told him that it was no big deal. It once again proved that their Xiao Fan was very strong. If he goes to university, she'll support him. And if he doesn't want to, she can sell buns with him. Fan tried to say something to her, but Kay decided to change the conversation and told him to eat soon. The guy replied that there was so much food, he couldn't fit it all in. Fang lay down on the couch after a hard day and said that his aunt was only 26. She had spent her whole life working and building a career. He just wants to provide a good life for him and auntie. But can't he do that just because he became a dragon tamer? He doesn't want to give up. If there were no dragons, there would be no class either. But where should he look for it? Suddenly, the system opened in front of him and told him that the first treasure map had already been generated. Fan asked with surprise, divine level treasures? He remembered exactly when this system first appeared. It was called the Super Treasure Card System. But today, he only had time to try out the identification system. He still hadn't dealt with the treasure. Fan made up his mind and opened the chest. Opening the chest, Fan saw that he had 3 identical low-grade treasure cards, and are combined into a treasure card of a higher level. The system said a random level and location treasure map would be given out daily. Just have them pick it up and get their class treasure. Fan realized that the treasures of his class, Dragon Tamer, was the weakest class. After all, it was almost unrealistic to tame a dragon. But if he uses this system effectively, he can get out of being weak and become strong. In other words, this divine level treasure map, and it's his last hope. And if he gives up now, he'll spend the rest of his life living on the bottom and not repaying his aunt. A map opened up in front of him, and he said Stony Plain. It's not that far from Jiahai. For him, all he had to do was take the last commuter bus at night, and there in the morning. But earlier that morning, Kay had gotten up and saw a letter on the table. In a letter, Fan wrote to his aunt that he was going to go to the rocky plain. Let her not worry. Perhaps this is his chance to change the fate of the Dragon Tamer. All will be well. And he'll be back soon. Fan promised her that he would soon make their lives better. And so he reached the outskirts of the Stony Plain. But suddenly all of a sudden someone pushed him, and raising his head he saw a huge man. But the girl next to him was nice and greeted him. Fan immediately adopted a stance to attack. But by this time, a man approached him from behind and asked if he would go with them. Fan punched his arm and said no. He thought that maybe they were material hunters. The girl showed him the knife and told him to think again. The man continued that it was too dangerous for such young ones to stay out in the desert alone at night. Fan immediately realized that they wanted to steal from him. Of course, killing people and stealing from them was easy, the man asked, thinking. Fan immediately realized that they were going to attack. So he decided to get ready. The man asked him again, would he go with them? Fan replied that no, he had already said so. The man said he couldn't survive in the wilderness. This night is going to be much more dangerous than he thinks. Fan realized that he didn't have any skills yet. One should avoid something like this. Fan said that he is a summoner. He doesn't need companions. If he's in danger, he'll just summon the creatures. Everyone was surprised, and the man said it looked like they were worrying about him for nothing, and decided to go separately. But the girl went up to him and told him that they would meet him again, and said goodbye with a fiery kiss. Fan realized that even if it wasn't as safe on the outside, it was better than with these thugs. He felt his strength was getting low. He needed to go quickly. When he entered the forest, he saw a pack of antelopes, all level 8. Fan realized that of course people wouldn't just be attacked like this, but it was still beyond his strength, and he decided to go around after that. But even though he made a big circle for safety reasons, it didn't get any safer. Along the way he saw porcupines, and all were level 7. And he needs to walk faster without even attracting attention. But suddenly he stepped on a frog, which immediately cried out in pain. The porcupines immediately looked at him with their embittered eyes. The porcupines saw him and immediately chased after him. But Fan realized that they would kill him if he didn't run away, so he had to run as fast as he could. At the right moment he threw himself off the road and saved his life. He realized he couldn't even mess with a scared antelope now. He'd end up like that frog. Suddenly, the system came out and said that the location of the treasure map had been reached. Fan rejoiced that he had finally found it. This was the location from the map. As he entered the rock, he realized that this must be what would change his destiny as a dragon tamer. And in front of him stands a dragon egg that is cracking. The system immediately analyzed it and showed that it was a black dragon egg. He saw that the shell was cracking and the dragon was about to be born. But suddenly he felt someone behind him. And immediately he pulled out his knife, for he was having a hard adventure, for beasts are everywhere. Fan struck out to protect the egg. Upon seeing the beast, he immediately realized that it was a bloodthirsty gray fox, and it sank its teeth into the knife. Fan felt that she was strong, but in the moment, he let out his energy and punched her in the face. Fan looked at the beast and saw that triple strike and bleed recovery. So it turns out, it attacks 3 times, causes it to bleed, and then recovers its health. Fan looked at the egg and saw that there was no way he could handle her. Now he could only wait for the dragon to hatch and then use the dragon tamer technique. But suddenly, Fan felt that she was so fast. Something had to be done. But the fox was fast and scratched him. But the guy realized that the most important thing was not to miss 3 strikes and let her recover. He took the 3 blows and picked up the moment to deliver a devastating attack. The system immediately showed that the bloodthirsty gray fox had been defeated. Fong was overjoyed because he was able to protect the egg. But suddenly those guys came up behind him and the man said tauntingly to him that he had finished the beast. Fan said they were following him or something? He told them in plain language that he wasn't going with them. The girl looked and told the guy not to be so nervous. He even fooled them around. The man said the guy told them he was a summoner. But then why doesn't he use his skills to deal with such a simple opponent? Fong threw his face in front of their feet and said if you want the hide then let them take it. Stop harassing him. The man started laughing and told the guy he was so funny. After all, this pelt is only worth 80 coins. How many of these does he think he needs to feed himself? The man showed his gaze to the egg and said they wanted it. But Fan immediately stood up to defend the egg. Fan immediately realized that these were the cheeky ones. They wanted to steal his dragon egg. The girl and Ambal immediately jumped on him. Immediately he missed the first blow from Ambal. The girl immediately jumped on him and put the knife to his head. She told him not to move or she would scratch him. The man saw this and started laughing. He said he clearly underestimated the treasure hunter's sense of smell. At this time the Ambal took the egg in his hands and shouted for joy for them to see. The man replied that they had done a good job, and then let them kill him. The girl stayed with him, and said that she was sorry, but they would still have to say goodbye. Fan realized that this was his only chance. He couldn't let them take him away, but suddenly he saw that the egg broke abruptly and a dragon flew out of it, and started circling above them. The man asked what kind of creature was that. Fan immediately realized what kind of creature it was. But man threw a potion at it, and told it to get out of here. But the creature dodged the attack, and attacked the biggest one. And releasing energy into it, he killed it with a single blow. The man realized he couldn't handle it, and started running away in fear. Fong said that he didn't think that only dragonlings that hatched could be like that. And now I can see why no one could tame them, the girl asked the dragon. What was he gibbering about? Was it really a dragon egg? But suddenly the dragon stood in front of them and watched. Fong punched her and told her that they had a bad sniff for treasure. That's what would happen if you tried to take away his dragon. Fong rushed to his dragon and told him to come to his master. The girl asked him who he was. Fan asked, he wants to know who he is? He's not a summoner. He's a dragon tamer. The system told him right away that a contract had been made with the black dragon. The girl asked him to let him go. She didn't know it was a dragon egg. Fong asked her how many people she had killed for the treasure. The girl replied that she hadn't killed anyone. Fong told her to go to her buddies. The dragon immediately pounced on her. Afterwards, Fong said that he had finally dealt with him. He couldn't believe that the dragon was so fast. And he's risen from the bottom to the top. He was just born and already so powerful. He can't imagine what they will do to him when he grows up. Fan hugged his dragon and said that very soon, the dragon tamer would no longer be the weakest class. But suddenly, Fong thought, what to name him? He started going through all the names and thinking what to call him. But suddenly in Fanny's hands the dragon began to move and he asked him to stop. And he asked what he was doing. Fong saw that a red magic that he didn't understand had appeared. Seeing that the dragon had turned into a girl, he asked what happened. Fong said that it turned out that she could also turn into a human. He looked at the system and saw that it was exactly as he thought. After taming, all the skills were unlocked. Dragon Pulse boosts all stats and attack power of the owner and pet by 30%. The attack bonus is much steeper than that of the same priest. And Dragon Bite high damage attack. And Dragon Claw turns your hand into a dragon paw. So cool. And not to mention the black dragon, its characteristics are 5 to 6 times that of humans. Now he could stand up to any combat class. He's got skills like that. His stats are also high. Even a level 20 human can't compare to him. And the bloodline doubled his characteristics. No wonder he felt stronger after being tamed. Fong realized that there were 3 powerful hidden classes. And no matter how powerful a class is, against the dragon tamer, it doesn't stand a chance. And without a doubt, the tamer is the strongest. He saw that she could take on a human form, but the behavior was still animal-like. Fan asked her what to call her. Fan thought that she was a little black dragon born at dawn, and asked her what was her name. Xiao. But the dragoness started laughing. Fan saw and said that she seemed to like the name. Even though the treasure hunt was dangerous, he succeeded. He asked Xiao if she was hungry, but Xiao didn't answer and just growled. Fan said that it was time for the wild monster hunt to feed her. Fan looked at the sky and realized that he had to slowly return. It wasn't long before the test that would determine if he could enter the university. He realized that the rank of master and the qualification to enter the best university was just around the corner. But no matter how it was done, raising the level and mastering the skills was still a priority. Fan told Xiao that they were heading deep into the Stony Plain, and there are lots of tasty monsters here. But suddenly, Xiao looked to the side and saw a herd heading in their direction. Fan immediately looked that they were plains hyenas. They are much more dangerous and tougher than a bloodthirsty fox. Fan realized that although he had defeated the fox, he was very badly hurt. One must not engage in a fight with them or else he would be finished. Fan saw that Xiao was excited and told them to blow them away. He realized that this Stony Plain was now nothing to the strongest tamer and his dragon, and there are no more dangers. Xiao inflated her belly at this moment, and spat out her flames at the animals. Fan looked at it, and realized that it was great. To level up faster, he needed to defeat a cool monster. Fan told her not to worry. There was only one big guy left, who had been waiting for them for a long time. Suddenly, a three-headed blood lion emerged from the dust. And its level is level 25. He realized that an ordinary person would need a whole team to approach and engage him. Fan told Xiao to attack. The dragonkin heard the order and roared. But he noticed the three-headed roar at the same time, increasing its defense and attack power for a while. Then out came the triple flame. The flames from their three mouths gather into a fireball, dealing area damage, taking some time to recharge. Fan told her to work cohesively to interrupt his skill, and used a jaw attack. It bites the target, rushing at high speed, dealing continuous bleeding damage. But the three-headed lion had its skill interrupted. Fan also decided to participate in the battle, and seeing this made him happy. He then used the dragon bite. It absorbs the dragon's energy to deliver a powerful blow. Fan looked at it, and said it was done. What a cool monster he was. Raised so many levels for them. After leveling up, the system said treasure map system activated, treasure map sent. Fan said another treasure map. I wonder if there will be something exclusive to Tamer there too. Fan told Xiao that it was time for them to look for the treasure. The dragoness got very excited and flew after him. Far away in the Stony Plain, the mistress asked to Uncle Ge, would they so easily miss such a rare opportunity? Ge replied to Madam that there was nothing they could do about it. To open this dungeon, they need at least 5 people, and they don't have that many. So he suggests going back to the city and bringing a couple more people. Kair, the combat class brigand, said no. The round trip would take at least a day. Chio said that the dungeon's reward opportunities were much higher than other copies, but it would only be open for 24 hours. If they spent a day, it would be too late. Ge told Madam not to worry. With his strength they would be able to open so many of these dungeons. Chio replied to her uncle that she was just very offended. But suddenly Ge pulled out his blade and asked who is coming. Fan replied so they don't worry so much, he's just passing by. Ge told him that this was no place for treasure hunters. But Chio stopped him and said that they were from Jianzai City and introduced herself. She asked him if she could ask him something. Chio asked, could he team up with them for a while? No need to do anything, just have him enter the dungeon of opportunity with them. After passing through, they will pay him 100,000 dragon coins. How can he like that? Fang thought at this moment. A dungeon of opportunity? Also 100,000 coins? He realized that the Qin family, the richest family in Jianhai, and asked him to go to the dungeon with them. Plus the rewards there must be rare. Chio said they just need to gather the right number of people to get in. He won't have to do anything. He'll get his 100,000 without bothering. He said that opportunity was not on the table. He said that it was time to go. Fan replied that he wasn't really interested in money, so they would cooperate according to the rules. Asked, does he mean the distribution of rewards based on strength? Fan replied that he did, exactly. Chio realized that their average level was around 20, and yes, he also looked the weakest. Is he really that confident? Or is he just arrogant? Chiyo extended her hand and said okay, if he wants, they will form a team according to all the rules. They will pay the money promised earlier as a token of their sincerity. Fan shook his hand and said it was a deal. Chiyo replied that great, then they could move out. Fang realized that if some strangers found out about Xiao, there would be a lot of trouble. So he decided that he would take pity on her, let her rest, and let him take all the rewards of this dungeon. Once through the portal, the system said this is a dungeon of opportunity. And it's a village of sorrow. Chiyo said that it was too quiet here, not a single sound except their voices. Air replied that the air is heavy here, and there seems to be no sign of life. He turned to him and said he had his hands full. Didn't he have gear and weapons? Fan thought this was ridiculous and thought, what other equipment and weapons? He immediately logged in and picked up the Black Dragon epic sword. He remembered that after defeating the three-headed lion, the treasure map had finally given him the opportunity to replace his beginner's machete. He told him that he had such a cool weapon. He thought he was a treasure hunter at first, but he seemed to be just a simple student who had just gotten a class. Air asked, what does he care about him? They were just cooperating, she'd know right away if he was up to any mischief. Suddenly, rotten zombies started coming out of the ground. And they were all on level 15. Fan saw them all fighting and realized that one of them was a knight, the other a warrior and an outlaw. A very reasonable team composition, especially this level 28 Sungu. Chiyo wasn't left out either, and used her Rain Divine Light attack. And the system immediately showed what it was. Rain of Divine Light deals significant damage to enemy targets within range and heals an equal number of allies. Chiyo said that it was a feature of his hidden class, a Holy Light Mage, the ability to combine attack with healing. But of course, the attack damage is lower than a normal mage, and the healing isn't as good as a priest. Fang realized that he now understood. Another hidden class, the damage divine attack, proved to be very even effective against zombies. Fan saw at once that the other monsters had woken up. Judging from the sounds, there were a lot of them. He immediately saw that the zombies were level 20. He said it was a personal monster. He ordered Air to protect Madam and that boy. Let Jia go with him. They won't let those pieces of rotten meat pass. Ge and Jia decided to protect them. Ge immediately used Midnight Execution, while Jia used a stabbing attack. But suddenly Jia asked, what's going on? Why wasn't his sword being pulled out? The system said that the zombies used corpse poison, and any attack infects the target with corpse poison, causing the victim to permanently lose life points, and the zombie to heal itself. Jia asked, how is this possible? Fan immediately realized that it was a corpse poison. To get rid of it one would need a priest clarity skill. Even Qin Chiu wouldn't help him here. Suddenly, Jia was in danger and asked Brother Sun to help him. Ge ordered him to drop his sword. Ge ordered Air to move to the front row, let her defend against the zombies. But Fan said there was no need to bother her, let her leave it to him. Ge was very frightened and asked him, is he crazy? Tell him to move away immediately, because he's about to be killed. But Fan was not afraid and immediately launched an attack with his knife. Everyone was greatly surprised, for the guy was showing a different side of himself. Fan finished off all the zombies and said that was it, time to move on. Ge couldn't believe it and asked what level he was at. How could some student who had just gotten a class be so strong? Chiyo shouted to Jia that she would help him now. Fan said that he was just a level 14 student, there was no need for him to lie to them. He came to the plane to practice before an important exam. Chiyo came over and said that important exam, also the level is almost like his. She was surprised because he was level 14 and his attack power was higher than Uncle G's by 28. But suddenly a zombie swooped down on her, and Air ran up in time to protect her mistress, but Fan ran up faster than her and killed that zombie with his big sword. He said that the level of each new zombie was getting higher and higher. He would be the front row attacker. Did everyone agree? Chiyo thought immediately, could he be the one who was recently rumored in Jianhai? She agreed and said it would be as he wished. She and Uncle Ge would lead the team, she would take care of Brother Jia, and Sister Kai would be in the back. Must be he in the village. Fan told her to call his name. And he went forward himself, and told them to keep up. Chiyo thought, is it really Li Fan? They say he got the Dragon Tamer class. But that can't be, Would he be so strong then? Continuing their journey, they reached the Dungeon of Opportunity, the Village of Sorrow. But then they were raided. Fan realized that Chiyo couldn't get the corpse poison out, and the portal they came from would only appear after defeating the secret guardian. Now we have to act quickly, or else this kid here will die and turn into a zombie. Said that there was no sign of the boss in the village. Something was amiss. Jia shouted to him to be careful from behind, but Chiyo shouted to brother Jia to hold on. Turning back, they saw the monsters that were heading towards them. Looked over and said, "Here comes their boss." The zombie started screaming and said, "Here's fresh blood and flesh." Fan saw and understood that Xiao Jia's corpse poisoning was so serious that this iron could devour him. Fan shouted to them that they should defeat him soon. Otherwise, he might merge with Xiao Jia. Gu immediately attacked him and used midnight execution, but suddenly he was surprised and asked why it didn't work. Fan also pounced and said that if he was about to devour Xiao Jia, there was no time for a slow attack. At the moment of Fang's attack, the system came out and showed that he had steel skin. Entering this state, the zombie's defense and stamina increased by 40%. Fang realized that there were still a couple more strikes left. His armor was made of dragon blood. But Boss kept repeating that he would have fresh and hot blood and flesh for him now. The system showed that the preparations of the fusion skill absorbs the target and fuses it to itself, increasing the health scale. Fan swooped down and shouted at Chiyo to give him a hand and let Uncle Gu protect Jia and Air. The system revealed that the dragon blood armor, Black Dragon Sword, had a special effect that allowed the wearer to partially transform into a dragon, increasing strength. Chiyo said she understood everything. While Fan applied the dragon claw, turning his hand into a dragon paw, the strength depends on the pet's strength. Meanwhile, Rain of Divine Light deals divine damage to enemy targets in range and heals an equal number of allies. Asked the guys, "Is he starting to fall apart?" Gu replied that it looks like this iron giant needs a merger to keep in shape. Fan looked at him and said, "Then we should finish him off." Gu realized that he had seen many masters in all his years with the Qing family, and could definitely tell that this guy had a hidden class. But the boss again said he needed blood and flesh. And Fan pounced on him and said that the true form was appearing. The guy lunged at the boss and told his own to leave it on him. Slashing him with his fist, he told him to fall to his knees. Asked with surprise, "Is the boss defeated?" Chiyo thought he had such a powerful skill. She had never seen something like this before. Killed a level 20 boss with one blow. The system immediately showed that they had found a level 20 treasure chest. Chiyo told the guy that as they agreed, the rewards would be distributed according to the rules. And they had underestimated him before, so she apologized. He told the guy that he definitely would have been able to make it through this dungeon alone as well. Now it seemed like they were superfluous here. Fan replied to Mr. Uncle Gu that he would leave the distribution of rewards to Chinchio. Upon opening the chest, the system said it was a consumable for the elixir of strength. And the effect is a strength value of 2 points after use. Said that these are the kind of rewards in a hidden dungeon of opportunity? Gu replied that it wasn't that bad in general, right? Fan thought that there simply couldn't be such rewards in a level 20 hidden dungeon of opportunity. Chiyo told Uncle to give the antidote to Brother Jia sooner rather than later. Chiyo went up to the guy and told him that he deserved it all, and she asked that she take it. Fan was happy that the people in the Qing family were so proper. Gu gave him the medicine and asked him if he was feeling better. Jia didn't answer him and just sighed in pain and fatigue. But suddenly Chiyo said that it was very strange. They had defeated the boss, but the portal was nowhere to be seen. Suggested that they should look around a bit, but Fan sensed something and told them not to split up just yet. And the iron zombie wasn't the boss, he asked, wondering what makes him think that. Is he sure? Chiyo asked her uncle. As a mage of divine light, she could really still sense the darkness, and pointed her hand towards the lake shore. Gu replied that if the mistress says so, then the real boss must be around somewhere. The dungeon is not small. Maybe they missed this place when they entered the village. Suddenly, a creature came out of the lake and Fan said that there he was. The system didn't recognize it. It didn't even show what level it was. He said the guy was right. This must be the final boss. And ordered everyone to take cover. Gu tried to stop him, but was defeated. Chiyo saw him flying backwards and was worried about him. But the boss then headed for her with his tentacles. Was frightened and yelled at her to dodge, but Fan enabled her to die. and at the cost of his life, he went to save her, and managed to get her out of the way. Falling to the ground, asked her mistress if she was all right. But the boss didn't leave them and changed the side of the attack, and this time, the system showed it was a creature called a grieving corpse, and its level is 25. Said, "Here comes the real boss." Ge ordered Jia to get behind him and wait for the command. The guy replied that he can fight and block punches. Ge saw the attack looming and said that's when he recovers, then he'll show off. Fan decided to fight him first, and immediately jumped into the attack. Ge shouted at him to be careful with him. Fan realized that Uncle Ge and Xiao Jiao were barely hanging on. He has no choice but to defeat this boss. There's only one way out: destroy his body. The system analyzed the boss and revealed that corpse breath grieving corpse was constantly spreading corpse breath to enemies, reducing their stats by 20%. Suddenly, the level and strength of the guys dropped by 20%. They themselves did not even realize that this could happen, but Fan didn't give up and decided to finish him off once and for all. Chio shouted at him to take care of himself from the whip. The system showed the chain whip whipping the target with the chains of the lake, causing massive damage. But the chain was meant for them, and Jia entered the battle to protect the boys with his shield. Fan had unexpectedly missed in the moment, and now realized that if he continued to procrastinate, they would all be finished. Fan took the knife in his hands and attacked the boss with the dragon bite, which absorbs the dragon's energy to deliver a powerful blow. But the boss responded with a chain whip, whipping the target with the chains of the lake, dealing massive damage. Fan got hit by the whip and used his dragon blood armor, partially turns the player into a dragon, and increases strength. Fan used the dragon claw blood bond attack, turns the hand into a dragon paw, strength depends on the pet's strength. Legendary. He was able to break the chains with his attack. He said they can't handle this boss. Maybe they will retreat. Shio replied to Fanyu that they are no match for him. If they stay here, they are finished. Fan ordered his uncle to get air, and the others away to safety. Shio asked, what would he do? Fan replied that he would deal with him. Let them run away quickly. Air told Madam that they need to leave. Shio thought that she would have to rely only on herself again. She couldn't even help in any way. And even without this debuff that reduced the characteristics by 20%, they wouldn't be able to do much. And let the one who could really stand up to the boss be wielded. The boss swooped down on him, but Fan used a fire gap. Fan said for Xiao to come out, it was time to have some fun already. And she immediately came out, and took the boss's tentacles in her teeth. Jia turned around and asked, what is it? Air also asked, is it really a dragon? This little guy summoned a giant dragon? Fan used jaw attack, it bites the target, rushing at high speed, dealing continuous bleeding damage. Boss tried to resist, but the chains grabbed her and pulled her sharply under the water. Air was surprised and asked, is that it? Ge replied that it was intimidating to take down the boss in 2 punches. Ju also said that he sees the dragon with his own eyes. Chio now realized that the person about whom there were many rumors all over Jianhai. The dragon tamer Lu Fang. 300 years ago, a girl was born and raised here, far from danger. Until the plague destroyed everything. There were tons of bodies, not even enough time to bury them. She desperately wanted to save everyone, but when she changed classes, she became a dark witch. She could not cure the dying, only summon their souls so that the living could say goodbye. One day, the elder ordered the servants to capture her. She's the witch who brought the plague. The church that once protected them claimed she brought the plague. The man in charge had ordered them to kill her. The girl didn't understand why they did this to her. She asked them why she should harm the village. After all, she just wanted the living to see with their deceased loved ones one last time. She just wanted to save them all. She was saying goodbye. There was nothing wrong with that. Why would they do that? Air asked that Lu Fan could actually summon a giant dragon. Chio replied that now they would be able to get out of here. Fan said that if the portal didn't appear, it means the boss is still alive. And he's afraid it's too early to leave. Chio asked why? But suddenly, a large creature came out of the water, and summoned a large stream of water behind it. The witch asked them why it was like this. It was them. Air said it was the boss in the new stage. The witch looked at them, and said they couldn't escape, and immediately attacked with a water shell. Air dodged the enemy's first attack and told the others that no attacks were working. Air told Madam that this was the end and apologized to her. Chio replied that no, she was the one who should apologize, and she's the one who insisted on coming here. It's all her fault. Fang said they'd been through so much, and she wants to give up now? Chiu replied that she was the only one who could use magic, but with her then small level. Ge replied that Bosu is immune to all physical attacks, they can't even defend themselves. And asked Fang, does he still want to fight? Fang replied that he couldn't, and opening the system saw that he was immune to the effects, instant lethal damage, corpse poisoning, bleeding, stun, and black dragon blood reduces all damage received by 50%, immunity to all effects, and a 500% increase in self-repair. Fang said he can't, but his friend can do anything. Turned to the dragon tamer that the difference in levels with the boss was just huge. The witch screamed at this point that it wasn't her fault, it wasn't her. Fang answered them not to worry, the dragon's strength was no comparison to this. The witch had been telling the guys all along that they were the ones who killed her. But Fanny got sick of it all and ordered Xiao to attack with raging fire. The raging fire spews fire, dealing damage and healing itself. The witch was in a lot of pain and didn't want to die. Jia said that the boss was defeated. In turn said that it's gotten really hot in here. It's like some kind of natural disaster. The witch screamed at last that it wasn't her, but an evil will, an explosion of malice, awakening all the dead fowl in the kingdom. The system told the black dragon that she was already at legendary level, and her level had been raised to 10. Fan congratulated her, and said that it was great. Ge looked and said that a portal had finally opened there. Jia looked and replied that there was fog. Chiu looked at and asked if she was okay, but suddenly they heard someone behind them growling again. Ge said that the village corpses had risen again. Xiao saw the enemies and started to destroy them. Ge didn't understand when he saw her above him and asked, "What is this?" But Xiao filled her chest with air, and aiming at the village corpses burned them to the last bone. Ge asked with surprise, "Is she a dragon?" Chiu replied, "They fought so hard against those zombies, and she interrupted everyone with such ease." Fan heard this and said that she is a black dragon and her name is Xiao. For her, these zombies are as good as it gets. Fan told Chiu that the boss was finished, and there was no need to worry. It's time to leave now, the portal has already opened. Now only the rewards they will take away. Fang said that the rules say that he opens first, no one objects, he asked. Chiu replied that no, how could they object to him? Opening the chest he found a scepter of divine light, a twilight cloak, a morning ring, and a transfer scroll. Fan took the transfer scroll in his hands and said that he would take it. The system immediately said that one scroll had been obtained. Chiu replied to him that he didn't have to take one, because the rules said it was all his. Fang said that he was actually a gentleman, and yes, some equipment would suit her better, and this transfer scroll would come in handy for him. Chiu replied that if it wasn't for him, they all probably died here. Let him take at least this, and held out the ring to him. Fan said that since she was asking, he couldn't refuse her. Ge warned Madam that they were ready to leave. Chiu had been thinking all this time, what else had Fang not shown them there? It's hard to even guess. 4 hours later, he arrived at Jianghai's bakery. Kei met him, and told him it was too dangerous. She was afraid to even imagine what he had encountered there. Fan asked, "What's wrong with her?" "Have her let him go, he's all dirty." Kei said, crying, that he wasn't dirty. He left without saying a word. She hadn't slept the last few nights, hoping it was all just a dream. She was afraid she'd wake up and he'd be gone. Fan apologized for leaving without saying anything. No need to worry, she wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. Fan told Auntie to stop crying. Ke replied that she was so surprised to see Xiao for the first time, and she was actually so cute in the body of a powerful dragon. Ke said Xiao must have eaten badly for the past few days. Is she really hungry? Fan told his aunt to look and showed her her gift. Fan said that if she managed to upgrade, she wouldn't have to hump in this bakery anymore. Kei replied that no, it was too expensive a gift. She can't accept it. Shouldn't she just sell it? He said he gave the weapons and equipment to the mistress, the Qing family, so they will sell this scroll and buy him 2 pieces of equipment to be the best in the exam. Fan replied to his aunt that he didn't need money or equipment, and showed his bank account. Ke was surprised and asked the guy, where did such money come from? Fan replied that he sold the materials he got during his so-called trip, and Qin Chiu also gave him 100,000 as a reward. Fan told his aunt to trust him that they would never have to worry about money again. Let her take it and use it now. Kay agreed and replied that she would try it now. And immediately opening the scroll there was a bright light that gave off great energy. Fan asked her, did it work out? Kay replied that yes, she had gotten a class upgrade. She was now an enchanted cook. Fan asked if there were any special features to her new class. Kay replied that she now had the enchanted cooking skill, which allowed her to cook food with various bonuses. Fan told his aunt that he had her as a mastermind, which meant the bonuses would be awesome too. Kay started laughing and said that only he could say that. Suddenly, Fan asked, where is Xiao? She had just been here. At this time, Xiao in the kitchen had eaten everything and was lying on the floor with a full stomach. In the night, in the study at the Qing family villa, the head asked Chiu, this dragon tamer Fan summoned a powerful dragon and saved them all? Chiu replied that it was because of her, they almost died there. Fang is very strong, he also has a hidden class. But they are like the glow of a firefly, and the sun with him. The head asked, she hadn't told anyone else about the dragon, had she? Chiu replied that she had told no one. She promised Fang that his dragon would remain a secret. Shanghai said she did a good job. When this gets out, many of those who drool over dragons will be thrilled. Chiu told her father that Fan saved all their lives. He won't tell about his dragon, will he? Shanghai asked his daughter. Is that what she thinks he is like? And how is she going to repay Fang for saving her life? Chiu replied that she had promised him a reward of 100,000 coins before the trial began. Shanghai said that she would then go to his house tomorrow with a card to thank him in person. Chiu replied to her father that since he was so interested in him, maybe he would go with her. Shanghai said that he would be only too happy to meet this dragon tamer, but he has business tomorrow. For tomorrow morning, everyone said that Princess Taichi came to study in Jiahai. They have a purely business relationship, but saying hello is still necessary, there is no way to avoid it. But coming right before the most important exam, she's probably not just here to study. At that time, Kay walked by and told them to pass, but suddenly Kay closes the door and asks them, are they out for buns? But she apologizes to them, they are not working today. Mrs. Taizi asked her man, did he tell her about this place? What kind of dump? The guard replied that they had been told it was here. Kay asked who they were. But the lady's guard grabbed her and pushed her aside so she wouldn't get in their way. Lady Takiki replied that the princess had come to pick someone up. Does she know a dragon tamer named Fan? Suddenly, Fan came down and asked, is someone looking for him? But seeing Auntie in a bad state, he immediately ran towards them. Princess Taizi covered her nose and said that there was a disgusting smell. Fan asked his aunt if she was okay? And what's going on here? Kay replied that everything was fine with her. The princess asked the guy, is he Fan? And she is a princess, and she came here for him. Fan asked her with surprise, is the princess looking for him? And who is she? Hong Tai replied that it was the princess of the Taichi kingdom, Jingzhu, and he was Cui Hong Tai's loyal servant. Xu said that the princess came to him to give him a chance to get ahead. Fan asked, get ahead? Xu started laughing and replied, I guess it's not easy to be a dragon tamer, right? But suddenly, he saw the chest and realized immediately what kind of egg it was. Xu told him if he agreed to her terms, it would be his. So, does it impress him? Her terms are incredibly simple. She wants him to be her slave. Whatever she says, he will do. No disobedience. Xu said that it was a bounty that fell to her from the lair of an armored dragon. The only dragon egg in the world. Kay asked, was he a slave? Xu turned around abruptly and asked, was he speechless or what? Although yes, for an ignorant person like him, it was a natural reaction to such a powerful dragon. Fan immediately looked at the system and realized that it was a type of earth dragon that was even lower than the sub-dragon. This dragon's stamina alone is high, and they call it powerful? Fan told the princess that the characterization was not bad. Xu thought in the moment, does he realize what's in front of him? Does he understand what a dragon egg means to a dragon tamer? Kay asked with surprise, how could she act like that? Fan replied to his aunt not to worry, he would chase them away. Xu said that a dragon tamer without a dragon is useless, didn't she? If he is her slave, he will become the most powerful dragon tamer in history. Isn't he interested in that? Fan replied that he was of course flattered, but had to decline. Xu got angry and asked him what he had just said. Does he refuse to be her slave, the dragon tamer who will make history? Fang replied that if that's all they came for, then he would ask them to leave. He's not interested in her dragon egg, much less being a slave. Is she kidding? Hongtai said that the princess personally gives him a chance to reach the heights, and he talks to her so rudely. And silly boy, doesn't appreciate it. Fang started laughing and asked, Chance? Heights? Let them not make him laugh. After all, he wasn't going to be someone's slave. Xu got angry and told Hongtai to teach him a lesson. But all of a sudden, Ku came out to defend him and asked that they not touch him. And he didn't mean to answer so rudely. He apologizes. Juntai replied that it was the princess's orders to let her get out of the way. He immediately punched her in the face with his fist. Fang ran up to her and asked her where she had bruised herself. He's going to help her. Kei replied that she was fine and she was fine. Hongtai said that some commoner dared to disobey the noble princess. He'll pay. He immediately attacked him from behind with his fists. Fan was telling his aunt at this time not to worry, and went up to the house. But he sensed the attack, and turned around and pulled out his blade. Fan said they were attacking his family. Yes, he would kill them all here. Kei asked him not to be so impulsive. Xu asked her servant what's the matter. She wants him to teach him a lesson. But Han-hai realized that there was something wrong with this guy. Fang punched the princess, and said he didn't care if she was some princess there. Just let her shut up already. Let her take her scum and get out. But Han-hai saw this, attacking, shouted, How dare he attack the princess? But Fang turned around and knocked the sword out of his hands. Han-hai asked the princess if she was okay. But Ju punches him and says he's a loser. He asks again if she's okay. Let her go and kill him. Even if she never has a dragon tamer, she still wants him to kill him. Xiao was sleeping at home at the time, and suddenly the phone rang. Chio called him and said it was strange that he didn't pick up the phone, and it looks like the number he gave her when he got back into town. Did she write it down wrong? She was on her way back to town asking where Fanya's house was. Suddenly, a huge explosion appeared from the corner, and Chio immediately ran away to the side. She asked, Is there a fight in there? People were saying that the newcomers were making trouble here. Shu asked them, Why are they staring? Tell them to get out of here. Han-hai told the princess that this guy is pretty strong. Zhu replied that he was trash. And taking so long to fight some loser. Then it was time for her to intervene. Fan immediately realized that it was a spell, the exact opposite of Chio's spell. And it seems to have a hidden class as well. But then Chio came running in and asked him what was wrong. Fan asked with surprise, Chio? What is she doing here? But at this time, Han-hai was covered in dark magic and turned into a huge warrior. Fan looked at his characteristics, and realized that he had turned into a monster. Chio stood up for him and asked him to let her help him. Han-hai pounced on them at once, but Fang stood in front of her, and told her to stay back. Let her take better care of his aunt, she's in the shop. Han-hai punched the guy and told him to die. Fang felt his attack power had increased so much. Looks like we need to use Dragon Pulse and Dragon Claw. Shu cheered and said at this time that this was the way to fight. And let him kill him to appease her anger. Han-hai said that with the support of his princess he was finished. But Fan immediately summoned Xiao, and she immediately rushed out of the house. Seeing the dragon in front of his face, Shu said that it couldn't be. Fan looked at them and said it was his turn to appease his anger. Xiao immediately swooped down on the sickest one with her claws, and pinned him to the ground so that he couldn't even move. Jia at this moment didn't understand how this could be. It was impossible. How could he defeat Juntai with a single blow? Han-hai was under the claws at this time and begged his mistress to save him. But Jia used a skill charge and answered him to hold on. But Xiao walked up to her and interrupted her skill. She used Black Dragon Blood, reducing all the damage she received by 50%. Han-hai at this time was yelling at her to let him in. Xiao immediately punched him and threw him aside. Han-hai told the lady that there was no need, let her leave. Xiao was greatly surprised from the strength of the giant dragon. And it turns out someone else has dragon eggs and dragons. Fan approached the princess, and asked if she wanted to kill him. Jia told him to stay away. And to stay away from her. Jia said they attacked his servant, and seriously injured him. Insulted her and threatened her. Does the guy now realize what this could lead to? He is now an enemy of the kingdom. Fan pulled out his knife and asked the princess, had she been threatened? She ordered her man to attack him and his family. Xia asked him what he was up to. Fan replied that he didn't care if she was some princess there, and ordered Xiao to prepare a skilled charge. Fang said that he would still take revenge on her. But suddenly a man flew in on a bird and told him to let her go. Qiu was immediately surprised and said it was father. Fan immediately ordered Xiao to tell her to stop. Shanghai came down and said that there were a lot of people around and let Fan take his dragon inside. He noticed that the real dragon is so unusual, different from its subspecies. Even from here you can feel its power. Qiu asked Fan to listen to her father. He could trust her. He immediately ordered Xiao that they needed to go. Shanghai asked the princess if she was okay. He didn't expect to see her here. And the Qin family's driver would be here soon. He would take her to the hospital. Kei said that Qiu said that her father knows this princess. Maybe they can help resolve the conflict. Fan replied that he had a feeling she wouldn't leave it like that. Shanghai came up and said that he knows the whole story. To trash the city the first time they meet is something. Fan replied that he was sorry for causing so much trouble, but he wasn't the only one to blame. Ke asked Mr. Qin to have him explain what happened. Shanghai replied that he had sent Princess Jing and Mr. Cui to the hospital, so now he could explain himself to them. He said the Jin family is not only in business, but also has great influence in the top leadership of the Taichi kingdom. Kei replied that such a strong opponent, and Fan defeated them like that, and now he would probably be punished for such a thing. Fang asked, so what if she has immense strength? He wouldn't sell his dignity for some dragon egg. Shanghai started laughing and said good for him, he appreciates that kind of thing. He had nothing to worry about, he would help him sort it all out. But he can't do it alone, so he has conditions. Fan was surprised and asked what other condition. Shanghai replied to make him rank first in the entrance exam, and he would do his best to keep the princess for the duration of the exam. Qiu told him that it wouldn't be that easy. There were many capable disciples in the kingdom. Shanghai replied that he could only help him if he beat everyone and took first place. Fang said that he understood and accepted his terms. Zhao was at the hospital at the time asking if Fang had been arrested yet. And clearly Shanghai is on his side. The guy was telling the princess to calm down. They would immediately contact the high-ranking officials and settle the matter with him. Zhao replied to make him do something about this guy already soon. She wishes he would die. The next day, in the main square of the Third Academy, before the big exam, the students were saying that some of them had become a mage, and could now form a team. Suddenly, one of the students said, "Look, it's Fan, isn't it?" They thought he was going to sell buns at home. But the best student got a terrible grade and became a failure. Why would he even take the exam? Fang realized in his head that he had missed these gossips so much. Now was the time he would show them what he had accomplished. The teacher came to the podium and said to be quiet. The exam was about to start. Fang realized that since he had reached level 15, he had yet to use the treasure map he received every day. It was a pity that they were all mid-ranked. If you combine all of them into one high-ranked treasure map, it could help you prepare for the exam. The teacher approached him and asked, did he come to take the exam too? Fan replied to the teacher that yes, he had practiced a lot and a few days now things had gotten much better. The teacher said it's not bad, but it needs a lot of work. Here, it's his teleportation stone. And he thinks he's just as good as the other classes. But classes are important, too. One mistake can lead to injury, or even death. Have him try to team up with his classmates for a challenge. If it doesn't work out just for him, he'll have to use a rock. Fan replied to the teacher that he understood. He understood that in that case, the points from the challenge would be divided among the team members. Suddenly, a few girls saw him and turned around. Fan was surprised and asked, are they on the team? Qiu replied that yes, this is his best friend. He can call her Tao Zi. She is very strong. The system immediately showed him Tao Xiaoman, a level 4 swordsman. Qiu asked Fan if he would like to join their team. Fan apologized and replied that he plans to go alone. He knows she wants to help, but he is not satisfied with the conditions here. And then he would go get ready, and he wished the guys good luck and told them to give it their best. Qiu also wished in return. She realized that judging from Fang's strength, everyone on the team with them would pull him down. Qiu asked her friend why she called a guy from the weakest class to join them. Qiu replied that lo and behold, he is very strong. She may or may not want to believe it, but he will definitely take the first place. Jia asked her, what is she saying? Did she have a crush on this dragon tamer? Chio replied that they should go, let her not fill her head with nonsense. Fan went through the portal and entered Jiahai City, and it was an exam dungeon. He said this is where everything will take place. The teacher appealed to the dear candidates to note that the test is divided into 4 levels: normal, difficult, daunting, and nightmare. And when opening a level, they can use the teleportation stone to enter it. Normal level tests are controlled and do not result in fatal injuries. The system immediately showed him that the difficulty level of the exam was normal. The teacher said that there are various monsters in the trial. Points are saved when exiting with the teleportation stone. The student said that it seems that not everyone chooses this difficulty anymore. It's very hard, you could lose your life. Only the hidden classes can do that. The teacher said that the monsters on the intimidating level are more ferocious. Does not recommend challenging alone. Let the points be divided among the team members. Wu had mastered Qinggong's hidden class and asked the principal if he had seen it. He would get the highest grade. Z said that the best student of the first academy, ranked in the top 5 in the province. Chio asked, is he a Qinggong master? A versatile class capable of both attacking and defending. They will be unfortunate. The disciples also said that it's the end. Their rankings are going to drop because of this Wu. And they're sure they can't beat him. They should have chosen a different difficulty. In the office, the principal of the first academy was saying that this Wu was the strongest in their academy, and he thinks Mr. Chio's daughter, not bad either. Should be in the top 3, right? The principal at this time realized that he felt sorry for Fanya. If he had gotten another class, he might have won first place. Shanghai addressed the honored directors that he was very optimistic this time. The director asked the gentleman who he was referring to. Shanghai replied that he was just Fanya, the dragon tamer. The principal asked with surprise, Lu Fanya? Shanghai replied that all the students had already left for tests, and he still hadn't come in. Isn't he going to pass? The first headmaster turned to Qin-san, which was enough of a joke. What could one expect from a dragon tamer? Let him look at Wu, he's already on the 4th floor. First place is in his pocket. The principal said he's not going to fail the exam. He's waiting for the door to the most difficult level to appear. The first principal asked, did he choose a nightmare level trial? There's no way out of it. He's overconfident. The principal said, is he crazy? He's going to die. Let them stop him, someone. Fan Yu was told that no one who challenged the nightmare ordeal ever came back alive. Fan disobeyed them and moved to the most difficult level. The headmaster was greatly surprised and said that the last student had passed that test 8 years ago. And he died a horrible death. The first principal said, what nonsense! Didn't anyone explain the rules to him? He doesn't know what he's doing. And Mr. Qing should reconsider his views. He's no match for Wu. The principal said that he couldn't wait for their master Qinggong's results. Shanghai replied to the principal that it was too early to draw conclusions. Maybe they would observe first? The principal asked the gentleman why he was so confident in him. He wondered if this Fong might not be so simple. And so Fong moved to the 1st floor of the nightmarish ordeal. He took out his knife and realized that this was only the 1st floor, and at least 10. Immediately, the 10th level black-armored wolves came out in front of him. Fong rejoiced and said that it was time to act, and immediately used the dragon bite absorbs dragon energy to deliver a powerful blow. And Fan Yu's system said that the 1st floor of the nightmare trial had passed. The door to the 2nd floor is open, and 990 points were obtained. The first principal even stood up and asked, with one punch? What's wrong with this Fan? He is incredibly strong. The teacher replied that his characteristics were clearly above his level. The principal said, could it be that he had found a legendary dragon? And at this time in the table, Fong was already at the 2nd highest ranking, but suddenly a man burst into the room and said that he was Jian Su, the imperial ambassador. He apologized for disturbing him, but he needed to bring a person to investigate. And the dragon tamer Lu Fong is here? Jian Su had a level 57 combat class, and was a 2nd swordsman. Fan was taking an exam at this time and suddenly opened the map and said what he had found. He had come to the location of the treasure map. Fan rejoiced at how fortunate it was that the location of the high-level treasure from the map he had just synthesized was right here. He opened the chest and got the skill book Accelerated Growth at 1%. Its effect allows you to learn the passive skill Accelerated Growth. Fan lit up with flames and the system said that he had obtained the Accelerated Growth skill. He realized that this was perfect for Xiaoyi. He thought that after the village, Xiao's level was rising very slowly. This skill would be very useful. Su told Principal Bai that since Fan was a student of his academy, he should immediately interrupt his trial and tell him to come here. Principal Bai replied that even if the matter was important, it would have to be postponed until after the exam. As the academy principal, he could handle everything on his behalf. Su asked with surprise, "Is he his name? He can't get punishment for him." Bai asked with surprise, "Punishment?" Shanghai approached Mr. Qian and said that they were former classmates after all. Let him listen. What did this Fang do? Su took his hand away and replied not to interfere with his work or touch him. He doesn't know why he's covering for this dragon tamer, but he reminds him once again that if he interferes, the imperial court will be displeased. If he doesn't understand, let him go. Have Director Bai bring him in now. Shanghai replied to him that the relationship between the Taichi officials and the Qin family was indeed complicated. But once Fanya's secret is out, either they nor the others will matter. No one will take Fang away today, Su asked. What mystery, what nonsense. Insubordination is a crime. Shanghai grabbed his hand and said let them accuse him, he will admit everything. Su said that he would tell his superiors about what he had done. Bai walked over and asked for them to calm down. Let the master not interfere with their exam. Su asked, why go to such lengths for some boy? Shanghai asked, wasn't he interested in Fang's secret that could make him disobey the higher-ups? Su was surprised at such words and saw that this Fan had chosen a nightmare level. Fan at this time thought that he wanted to see which floor he would reach alone, but with this skill, it was better to summon Xiao to get more experience. Su said that he dared to challenge the nightmare level. What was so special about this Fan? The first director replied that he had not yet seen how he had dealt with everyone in one blow. He immediately told him to look at the screen. Fan ordered Xiao to go on the attack. Su was greatly surprised and asked with surprise, is it a dragon? Shanghai said that even though he had seen it before, he still got goosebumps. Xiao immediately smashed the door with one punch. Shanghai asked the others, had everyone now seen his secret? He is the only tamer in history who was able to tame the dragon. Bai asked, did Fan really tame the dragon? Suddenly, the system said that the second floor was passed. The first headmaster said that the dragon's power was something that no class could defeat. The teacher replied that he would be able to sweep away the country when he leveled up a bit. Fan had already ascended to the first place on the table. At this time, as he was already on the 13th floor of the nightmare level, Bai said that it wasn't just about the dragon. Fang's strength, all his characteristics must be above 100. He would be the best even if he didn't summon the dragon. Shanghai asked Su, did he still wish to take Fang away to his leadership? Su replied that today they had opened his eyes, he finally realized why they had resisted. Shanghai said that in that case, he would seize the videotape from Fan's exam and send it to the teacher. From now on, his and Fan's relationship shouldn't concern them, so let him go. Su was surprised and asked which teacher he was talking about. Shanghai replied that he was talking about Tu Jing, Mr. Jinbei. At this time, Fan had reached the 20th floor of the nightmare level, and a level 15 dark priestess appeared in front of him. Fan realized that with Zhao's accelerated growth, she was probably about to gain a new level. So he ordered her to use the lava flame. After the fire attack, the system said immediately that the 20th floor of the nightmare level was passed. The dragon was immediately promoted to level 11. And Fan was promoted to level 16. Fan immediately looked at the table and smilingly said that they would level this trial. An hour later, Fan had reached the 50th floor of the intimidating level. Wu at this time was saying what bad luck. This year's exam is just terrible, the monsters here, there must be at least 10. How hard it is with only Chio competing for first place. But she's on the team, so she only gets half the points. Wu said that he would be the best in this exam. He started shouting to everyone outside to look at him, have him immediately contact the top 10 universities and tell them to prepare for his admission. Bai said that the guy had made it to the 50th floor of the nightmare level. All the previous ones had failed here. The first principal replied that this level would be the tipping point even if Fan passed the test. After that, he would begin to progress more slowly. Fan looked at the system and said that this was Zhao's new skill after raising the level. and decided to use the 4 kinds of transformation. Fang thought, what else could a dragon destroyer and world destroyer be? Looking at the cliff, he saw a level 20 amethyst mountain giant. Bai asked with surprise, 3 nightmare bosses? How will he fight? The first director said that he was the same one who said that the 50th floor would definitely slow down Fang's progress. The principal saw that his results were very good. The first place would probably go to him. Why isn't he at his academy? Fang, seeing the monster, saw that it had a 50% damage reduction triggered. But of course, it became more difficult in the middle. He ordered Xiao to try out her world destroyer form. Bai saw such a thing and said, what is Fan going to do? Xiao at this time reincarnated into something big and even stronger. The system after transformation said unlocked new skills: earth bursting and a terrifying roar. Bai asked, can a dragon change its combat form? Shanghai looked at it with astonished eyes and said that even such a thing was possible. The whole world would shudder from it. The monster decided to attack him from behind, but Fan dodged and ordered Xiao to execute a jaw attack. The first headmaster watched and asked, he had broken through a level 20 boss so easily? Bai understood that his dragon was able to break through the amethyst mountain giant's defense. The attack power must have come out 2000, but suddenly Fang would have fallen into the monster's hands a little more. But Xiao had time and caught him, and behind that used the dragon claw that turns the hand into a dragon paw. The strength depends on the strength of the pet. Shanghai said to Mr. Qian, now looking at Fang's strength, wouldn't he be offended that he had prevented him from taking him? At the moment of the attack, Fan looked at Xiao and said that the final blow would be for him, and used an earth burst attack. The system said the black dragon level upgraded to level 12, and Fan had upgraded to level 17. Fan said that the level was raised again. How fortunate that he chose the nightmare level specifically. It is not a hindrance for him, he goes floor by floor. Seeing the portal, Fan realized that he had just gained a huge amount of experience. Shanghai said that it seemed like this so-called 50th floor turning point was just nothing to Fang. The first headmaster replied that his dragon's power was far beyond his comprehension. Bai turned to Mr. Qin and said that he knew a lot about dragons. He wondered if he would be able to tell to what value the power characteristics of this giant dragon had increased to after it changed shape. Su replied that he had seen the most powerful swells of the city fight, and if you compared their strength, this dragon's strength after transformation was at least 2,500. The first headmaster said with astonishment that this was beyond all their specifications. Bai realized that this was about what he had expected, and he was afraid that it would only get bigger from here. The first director said that now that he had passed the 50th floor, the pattern would gradually become obvious. Shanghai asked, what's another +1? Bai replied that yes, the +1 pattern was formulated by the first scientist who designed the test, and after passing the 50th floor, each floor with more monsters will meet at least one boss, and it makes the challenges more like a real dungeon, where players can lose their lives at any moment. However, there will be an X or 1 going into the challenge. The bosses will be nightmare level. Bai said that in Nightmare X +1 mode, you can face more than one boss and increase your stats exponentially. Shanghai said it sounds complicated, and now they'll see how Fang handles it. And as for him, he doesn't care about X +1 at all. After this, the system immediately said that the 70th floor had been passed, and the dragon's level was raised to 13, and Lu Fan's level was raised to 18. Fan sat that starting from the 50th floor, it becomes much more difficult. But thanks to Xiao, the exam would be much easier. Fan told Xiao to follow him. Bai at this time said that it had been a little over 10 minutes and Fan had already reached the 70th floor. The first director responded that, to be honest, the tower this year is much more difficult than in previous years. He doubts anyone can get above the 80th floor. But now, they will take a look. At this time, Fan had already passed the 76th floor, and used Black Dragon blood in battle. The system said that the Black Dragon had leveled up to 14, and Fan had risen to 19, and the 83rd floor had been passed. Bai said that in previous years, many geniuses had spent all their energy going through the floors, but during the great examination competition, they died due to their own fatigue. Shanghai replied that to think that there wasn't much time left, it wouldn't be long before they knew who would get the grand prize. No one would give up now because of some fatigue, right? Bai replied that Fan is different from the rest, and he believes the guy is the first in the last 10 years to be able to reach the 100th floor. The first director told him to take his time. Despite some leadership, don't forget the difficulty of level 99. The teacher shouted for everyone to look. Fan had reached level 99. The first principal was surprised and asked, "What?" Fan arrived at the trial of the nightmare level of the 99th floor. Looking in front of him, he saw the headless guards who were guarding the sword. Suddenly, a level 55 headless horseman destruction of worlds level 55 rider appeared in front of him, and told Fan that he was an assassin. Fan understood that the headless horseman from the ruined kingdom was a rather famous monster here. All the stories from the secret realm are real, they originate from real history. As well as the village of sorrow, the ruined kingdom was formed by an undead invasion hundreds of years ago, and the ruler was killed. The writer said that the killer should remain headless, and used the decapitation attack. Fan immediately realized that exchanging health was the safest way to pass the secret realm. But since he doesn't have that ability, the only thing left to do is to deal with all four. The horseman told him that a murderer is a felony. Fan made a strong attack with his knife and turned around and noticed that the rider was still being chopped down. The rider used the destruction of worlds counterattack. But Fan turned around and repelled his attack. The system said that if the rider took damage, it would immediately retaliate. Fan ordered Shao that it was now her turn to go out and destroy the headless horseman, and release the firestorm. Fan looked at her and said that she was good. But the horseman was still alive and said that for the Lord's sake, he would pay even with his life. The rider used Thunder World's destruction. The knight has a thunder skill that increases attack speed and deals extra lightning damage. Fan repelled his attack and saw more riders coming at him from different directions. He jumped immediately into the air and said that this couldn't go on like this, and he wishes to climb to the 100th floor as soon as possible. Shao used the skill cooldown. Fan immediately told her to get ready. Shao applied the lava flame. It continuously spewed flames in front of her, dealing damage while healing the wielder at the same time. He released a strong attack and the system immediately said that the 99th floor was passed. Fan replied that he didn't expect Shao to do anything else. There was only one floor left. The first director said that the last floor had opened. Shanghai replied that it looked like they would be witnessing something legendary today. Bai asked in surprise, "Is it really the 100th floor?" He is afraid that he is the reason why he didn't want the candidates to qualify. Fan went up and said there is a 100th floor here. And here it is, the ruined kingdom. The number of undead armies is over 500. Fan said, "This is the undead army. And now Shao has to maintain her form." Now it was time to try out a new destruction skill. Fan shouted that it was time to go through the last floor and get the credit he deserved, and ordered Shao to switch to the Dragon Destroyer form. Shao took on the legendary form of a Dragon Slayer, and she gave 1,000,000% performance. Bai asked with surprise, 3 shapes? Shanghai replied that Fan must still have some aces up his sleeve. The head of the 100th floor said for the Lord's Guardians to go on the offensive. Fan ordered Shao to make preparations, and to use the undead army from the destroyed kingdom. At the moment of the attack, Fan shouted to Shao to activate the Cataclysm attack. With her strong attack, the undead army began to dwindle to a minimum. The first headmaster looked astonished and asked, "Could a candidate possess such a skill?" Shanghai replied that he had destroyed an entire army of undead. The head of the 100th floor ordered Fan to kneel before the Lord. The guy immediately shouted for Shao to come over to him. Bai asked, "Did he kill the 4 riders?" Shanghai thought, what comes out is that Fan even managed the highest level. Looking at the table, the first director said that he had 980,000 points. No one had reached such heights in the last 30 years. Perhaps he will be the one to get the grand prize. Bai replied that this year's exam was not easy, so the reward should be accordingly. Fan at this time said that he had gotten rid of the bugs and it was time to move on to the boss. And the final boss is the Emperor of the Destroyed World. The head of the 100th floor said that Fan was insolent and a parasite. At this time in the battle, the undead army fell. Fan told Shao to get ready and attack the Dragon Claw monster. The head attacked him that Fan used his sword and repelled his attack. The head stepped back and thought, where did his strength go? Fan laughed and asked if he had noticed that he had become weaker, and showed him his mourning ring. The head replied that what a terrible trick. Fan turned to Xiao and told her to use the second part. Fan swooped down with his sword and stuck it into the chest of the floor 100 head, not even leaving him a chance. Fan told Xiao that they were done. Bai was saying at this time that no one in 30 years had ever scored so many points before. Shanghai replied that it looks like they will become very famous because of him. Fan said they were done and asked Xiao if she wanted to go home and get something to eat. Xiao replied with a roar of her own that she would like to. The system said that the 100th floor has been passed. And Li Fan was completing his challenge. He actually thought that he wouldn't even be able to reach level 30. But it turned out that he was wrong after all. When he opened the chest, he received the Ice Dragon Lord's Wrath, the Spirit Wind Ring. He realized that it could add dexterity, and it was a pity that it couldn't affect Xiao in any way. The Epic Cloak is designed more for Bao's Dragon Destroyer form. It reduces damage from water techniques and increases damage from fire techniques. Fan took all the treasures and said that it was time for him and Xiao to rest, and activated teleportation. And finally he could return. Coming out on his world, Bai was telling him that he was so capable. Here it was, the dark horse of their academy. From now on, his picture would hang on the wall at the academy. The first principal said that there are only pictures of tragically deceased students hanging there. Isn't that right? Bai replied that it's not worth talking about here. Fan broke the record. He has a bright future ahead of him. But suddenly Shanghai walked over laughing and said, "Who would have thought that Fan would be the center of attention just because of the exam?" And even though he was mentally prepared for the outcome of the exam, he still staggered. Fan replied to his uncle that he had fulfilled the conditions, and so their agreement about Chiu should be honored, shouldn't it? Shanghai replied that he was keeping his word. He will decide everything soon. Shanghai told him that he may not worry, he better think about choosing a university. The teacher said he thought, now all 10 universities within the volume will fight for him. Businessmen from the south will definitely seize the opportunity and try to establish relations with him. The teacher asked, "Where's the dragon? Would he summon it too?" The principal asked him, "Is he crazy? Then the building will collapse." And he congratulates Fang for breaking all the records. At this time, in the land of dragons, at the edge of the north, in an unknown area of level 60, man sat at his headquarters and watched the video of the exam. The head of Jinbeiho was having a drink and said that it was great. But suddenly someone knocked, and he told them to come in. Beijo asked what's up. The man replied that he apologized for the inconvenience, but he had a report. Putting the dossier on the table, he said that here he could see all the data that Shanghai had provided, and thanks to a report from their messenger, information about the collusion of the families had reached them. After an investigation was conducted, more details of what was going on became available to them. Beiho said that it was all Yuan Chongfeng's fault. The guy replied that the Jin family and Mr. Yuan have a close relationship, and also enjoy each other's privileges, thus further strengthening the relationship. Beiho began to laugh and replied that it was no surprise that they had sent a man to deal with the dragon tamer. And Yuan is taking on too much. They need to untie Princess Takiki's hand, let her go rogue, and it's time to put them all in their place, and strip them of all their positions if they disobey. Let him follow orders, and if he has any grievances, let him discuss it with him personally. As for the Jin family, if they try to contact Yuan again, have them send a snow lion troop to them. Beiho said he still had something else. Let him pay attention to what choice the dragon tamer would make. Fang should get the best resources. Beiho realized that this boy would become a living legend, and when his mission was complete, he would finally be able to meet him in person. Beiho thought the whole time, when will it be over? Jia was on the phone at this time asking what he was saying. Jin Beiho had fired Yuan. The guy responded to the princess to calm down. Another piece of good news. Jia asked, what else is he going to tell her? Who's going to catch her tamer now instead of him? Guy told her not to waste her precious time on this. It was all behind them now. They discovered that there was another dragon tamer besides Fang. Jia smiled and replied that this was wonderful news. She hoped it would go much more smoothly this time. Seeing that Wu was coming from the portal, the system said that they congratulated him. He passed the exam while on the 72nd floor and scored 89,250 points. Wu realized right away that he had a great score. And 72 floor, he will definitely become a champion. And it is said that there are even special awards in the top 10 universities. It will become even more majestic in the future. Wu suddenly saw the people and thought, what's the excitement? How many executives are there? The first director came up to him and said that he was a true champion. He had performed better than everyone else. Wu replied that he didn't even break a sweat. And everyone must be cheering him on. He walked up to his principal and said hello. The first director turned around and asked with surprise, is he done yet? Wu replied that he had finished. He had scored almost 90,000 points, and he didn't think anyone could beat him. The first principal said it was okay. He too would get to choose any of the top 10 universities. But of course grades are important too, but he's given it his best shot. His injuries are not serious, but it's better to recover. Wu was surprised at this and thought, what does the principal want to say with all this? Will he also get an opportunity? And probably not. The principal is shocked because he has not seen such a number of points scored until now, and he must be very proud of him. Wu was overjoyed and thanked the director. 7 days later, the results were to be announced. Suddenly, people gathered in front of Fan and shouted that he had accepted their offer. The minister personally invites him to pay him a visit. People have asked him which university he is considering at the moment. And does he plan to go to Lungo Academy in the future? Shanghai walked up and said that the results were announced. Everyone was shocked, but decided to see the champion in person. Ke replied that it's too lively outside and it's better to talk inside. Shanghai said that these 6 boxes contained a prize fund of 50 million, which Jiahai City would give to the winner. Fan watched his phone and saw that they had not yet announced how many points he had. Shanghai said that on top of that, he was getting an extra bonus. Suddenly turning around he saw that it was the roar of the Blue Dragon Lord. Fang rejoiced and realized that it was a skill book. Also an elixir that would definitely make him stronger. Now thunder abilities as well, not just ice magic. Shanghai said the director carefully selected all the awards, especially these boots that recharge in literally 30 seconds. Fang immediately saw that the recharge time was small. This equipment would be very helpful for beginners who were just starting out. Fan took the suitcase and said that he could really use it. But suddenly Chiu came in and announced that the representatives of the 10 universities had already arrived in Jianhai. Her father had invited them to their homes, and she had been sent to see Fang off. Ke asked with surprise, Chiu, is she here too? Have her close the door, there are too many people in there. Fan asked with surprise, so early? He just got to the first place after all. Shanghai replied that such results are quite rare, so everyone is very eager to see it sooner rather than later. And the record of his exam and the result were deliberately hidden. No one but the top 10 universities saw them. He's too special. Jing Zhu has made contact with the teacher, he wants to meet him in person. Fan replied that it was wonderful, and he wanted to see him too. Shanghai said that it's not time yet. Let him not worry. He will meet him sooner or later. Chiu gave him an envelope and told him that she was asking that he accept it. They didn't get a chance to meet the last time she came. Fan asked in surprise, the purple fate card, it's very expensive after all, it's worth 1,010,000. Shanghai replied that he deserved it, so let him have it. They are being escorted to an event in the evening, so they could really use the card. Chiu told her father that he would relax so much. Ke didn't understand and asked in surprise, what's the matter? Chiu immediately took his hand and said that it was time to say hello. At this time in Lunghua, a car suddenly parked in the forest outside Jingzhou City. Jia immediately came out of it and asked the servant what Fang's level was. The servant replied that it was 19 and the dragon was at 14. Jia said that how different dragon tamers are after all. They will be able to fight a level 30 boss very soon. Suddenly, they met Qin Tianji, who was at level 19, and was a dragon tamer. By this point, the animal had pounced on him, but Qin wasn't scared and ordered his dragon to use its tail. After defeating the monster, the system said that the shell dragon level had been raised to 15. And Qin had increased his level to 20. Jia said it wasn't bad, and the dragon egg wasn't given for nothing. Qin replied that he was glad he didn't let her down. Jia said that of course, there was no other way. She asked Hong Tai if he would mind handing over his weapons to him later. Hong Tai replied that the subordinate was acting in accordance with the princess' orders. Qin said that he thanked the princess. With her help, he could definitely become the next champion. Jia remembered that Qin had scored more than 1,000,000 points, but only came in second place. And Fang's result has yet to be announced. If he is only 300,000 points ahead, she believes that Chen still has a chance to win. Xia told him to memorize Fan's name before he finished him off and took the black dragon. She will help him become the strongest dragon tamer in history. He will become his personal servant. As for Fang, let him deal with him. Chen replied not to worry her, it's a great honor for him. Xia said he is much better than him. She gave him a chance but he didn't appreciate it. Xia told Hongtai to go to Jiahai City and find out which university Fanya had chosen, and if he didn't do well, he might not show up again. Xia realized that he would soon regret the way he had treated her. In the Qin family's estate outside the living room, Chiu asked Fan if he had decided where he was going to apply, and suddenly she said she thought not. It was her father who wanted to know. He said it would be better if he went to the same place as her. Fan replied okay. And they say teamwork is very important in higher education, so they need to act together. If they go to the secret realm together, they will definitely win. But he hasn't made a final decision yet, so he'll tell her a little later. Chiu realized that she didn't know how many points Fang had scored in the exam, and she was afraid that they had too big a gap. Chiu said that she would do her best to enroll with him. Fan closed the door and replied okay. When Fang opened the door, he said hello and wanted to introduce himself. But Man said it was Fan. They had already seen the tape of his exam. It's amazing, but the girl sitting next to him said that he was the first to possess such power with such a class. He is their hope. Does he understand? The man told her to stop interrupting. They and their university are far below their Jiang and one anyway. They provide a 10 million scholarship, potions, secret realms for training, and all for free. The girl asked him, did he think he could get him to favor him with this junk? And in addition to what Jiangnan University provides, they give out 20 million, and also open up access to limited secret realms, and they have 20 of them. The man got angry and said they can't outrun them. They will provide exactly the same conditions. The girl replied that they were giving the opportunity to enter the secret realm. They are willing to discuss the terms again. If Fang remains dissatisfied, more bonuses can be added. Fang looked at all of this and didn't expect it to come to this. He was at his wits' end on what to choose. The girl said that this year, Lunji University is giving a quota for national testing. They are inviting him to join them. The man asked, right? He had just finished the exam. Wouldn't he be able to handle the national level? And all the past candidates had passed a strict selection process. Moreover, other countries are also on standby. And how can a freshman be given such a responsible job? Do they even care about the welfare of the country? Han thought, national testing? Khan said national testing is a secret realm created by 23 around the world. Every 3 years, 23 countries nominate candidates under the age of 25 to represent the country at the test. And to ensure a level playing field, players must be on the same level. 2 strong and powerful candidates are not allowed. And testing will elevate the country of the victor, and the reward will be a treasure yet unseen to the world. The girl came out and said it was too risky. The event was only 6 months away. The man asked if it was too risky. Han replied that those who pass this test become truly honorable persons. And Lunji University makes an exception for him and gives him such a chance. Fan realized one thing at once, that state testing would elevate not only the country but also the candidate. The system immediately popped up and said congratulations to him. He had been sent treasure maps. Fang rejoiced. After all, the second divine level treasure map. Impressive. Last week's treasure map gave him the opportunity to find the dragon egg. And now he's decided where he's going to go. Han asked, well? And does Fan see that Luanji University had never offered such an opportunity before? Unexpectedly, Fan replied that he had made up his mind. Fan said that he would go to Lundi University. But he would like to ask for help. Will Teacher Gu help him to send the application? Han replied that if it was difficult for him, she would do it herself. 4 days later, Kay stood in front of the bakery and said she never thought she would have to leave this place one day. It's so hard on her heart considering the fact that they have lived here for so many years. Fan replied that they had money, so could afford a place to live anywhere else. Kay said she understood, and when he first came to her, how quickly time flies. But suddenly a car pulled up and Chio shouted to her boyfriend and sister that they had come to pick them up. The girlfriend said that they were also enrolled in Lundi University, and there was also a plane reserved for them, so we should hurry up. Fan asked. Did Z also get into London University? The girl replied that she and Chio had the same scores, and she was so eager to study with him. Fan told Han on the day of the talk that he thought it would be glorious to accept a few more students. The girl replied that she would decide. Kay was saddened and said that she apologized for making them worry about Fan. Did he already say that he had always dreamed of going to a university with a pleasant atmosphere and staff? But how she misses the past. Fan used to be so small but very bright. Fan replied so that she would stop crying. Chio turned to Sister Ke and said that there wasn't much time. Let him get in the car. Fan could see that his aunt was trying hard to raise him to be a good person, and he really appreciated it. He said he was sure to make her life better. And now it was about to begin. Upon arriving in the country, Leunke said it was so busy, that's what the capital is all about. But Chio looked and saw that there were rare recipes being sold here. Fan looked at the city and saw that the university itself was ahead. But suddenly behind him, someone told the princess that they had arrived. Suddenly, Zhu came out of the car and said, "What kind of lungo is this? What a horrible capital city it is." The servant looked ahead and suddenly saw Fan standing in front of them. Fan immediately thought, what was Zhu doing here? He certainly didn't expect it. Chen said, "Is this the dragon tamer from Jiahai City?" The servant shouted at him to be quiet. Chen replied that he didn't even have to look. Zhu told him that he would be sent back if he did something now, so not now. Chen replied that he understood and apologized. Chio said that her father said that she was going to come to London country, but why London University? Fan tried to snap at them and suddenly Han came up and said that it was very good that they were together. Han asked, "They don't know each other?" But she hastens to inform, they are two representatives of dragon tamers from the southern province, and that's why they are called the twins of the southern province at the university. Fan realized that here he was the second dragon tamer. Chen said he's heard a lot about Fang. They're getting closer every day. Fan told Teacher Han that they had met literally just now. They are on the road and very tired, can they rest first? Han replied that, in that case, could he let her escort them out? Tomorrow they would discuss the details. Zhu looked at all of this, and said they could manage on their own. Han showed the university and said that this is where all the freshmen live. There are 30 apartments in total. Every year during the admission process, entrance exam results are studied in detail to assess the students' ranking, as only the top 30 will be able to join them. Fan ranked in honorable first place in this ranking. And as for Qingtianji, who is ranked second in their province, he is ranked 18th in the overall ranking. And that's why his house is ranked number 18. Fan thought that it looked like Chen had agreed to all of Jing Zhu's conditions, one of which was to kill him or something. Chio turned to her teacher and said that because her and Z's results don't make it into the top 30. Han replied that unfortunately, the three of them would have to go to another neighborhood. Kay asked if she could live with Fan then. Chio and her friend were surprised and asked, living together? Han replied that it was not forbidden in the rules, only if Fan himself was okay with it. Ke asked Fania, he doesn't mind, does he? Doesn't he want to taste Auntie's dish? Fan replied that of course not. Kay took the girls and said that in that case, they would live together. Just strengthen the bond between them to safely pass the secret realm in the future. Fan looked and said that he thought they had better listen to Auntie. The dormitory is very far away from here. It will take a long time to find them. Z replied that in that case, they would stop. Chio also said that she agreed. Ke got excited and replied that they would all eat together. Z attacked Fan and told him to listen to her. Let him not even dare to do anything. He would get it right away. Suddenly, the system showed that something new was available to him. Fan immediately realized that the same treasure was somewhere nearby. He asked the teacher who lived in house number 2. Han replied that she was only in charge of Nanxing province, and was not familiar with freshmen from other regions. She only knows that there is a girl living in house number 2. Fan told the girls to go to the house and he would greet the new neighbors. Ke replied that it was good that he remembered to give the gift. Fang replied to his and not to make up his own mind there. He just wants to see the second place person. Chio thought at once that Fan was going to go to a girl's place. She should have underestimated him when she decided to enroll with him. As he walked to the door, Fang wondered if he was doing the right thing. I wonder if the neighbor will like his aunt's cake, but in any case, at least she should thank him. Opening the door, Fan introduced himself and said that he lived in house number 1, and he had come there Jia. The girl looked at him and didn't understand anything. Fang said it was for her. And now they are neighbors, and he hopes they will become friends. Fan handed her the gift in her hands, and the girl replied that she was from Yunui province, and her name was Jianing. Fan immediately realized that the voice was cute, but it would be hard to make friends. He asked her if he could come in. His throat was dry. Would she offer him a glass of water? Ying led him into the house, and closed the door behind him. Fan realized that he didn't want to linger. We need to find the treasure. Fan started looking at all the teams and found a room that Jianing wasn't in yet. The system said that he had found a new treasure. The system showed that it was an emerald dragon egg, but the level was not yet known. Fan wondered, is this really the second egg? Ying brought him some water. But Fan replied that he had remembered something here. He was not thirsty anymore. It was time for him to go. The system said that one emerald dragon egg was received. Fan said he's happy to meet you. See you tomorrow. Ying saw her room open and thought he was a pervert. But in the evening at the number 1 house, Fan was looking at his new treasure with Xiao. Fan realized that it was an emerald dragon egg just like Xiao's. The system said that the egg could be activated. Suddenly the egg broke and a baby dragon was born. Fang realized that he had another dragon. Fang realized one thing, Xiao would now be able to receive additional support. During the exam, Zhao's strength increased by 30%, and during the cataclysm, it increased to 70%. If he combined her characteristics with the new dragon, they would increase by at least 60% and the strength would reach 12,000. Xiao got very excited and started playing with it. Fang realized that by the time he put on the emerald dragon equipment, it would become very strong, and he was afraid to imagine how much. And now he needed to think it over. Fan wondered what to call him. But the dragon started biting Xiao, and he yelled at him not to do it. Fan said she would call him Emerald, and how does he like it? And it doesn't even sound bad. From now on she'll be Zhao's friend. Xiao didn't want to share her master with anyone, and constantly growled at Emerald. But Fan told them to stop. The next day, on the day of the freshman assembly, Fan said that it turns out, the martial and ordinary classes have different assemblies. Chiu replied that yes, but Sis Han would be somewhere else. Zhu asked him why it was so noisy in her room yesterday. Fang tried to tell what happened last night, but he heard everyone already saying that 2 beauties again. A swordswoman and a mage of divine light. They're all beautiful. And they'll be the first beauties of the university. And wish they were alone with them in the secret realm. Do they think she has a boyfriend? There are 2 of them. They can't be dating that guy at the same time, can they? Chiu said at this time that she had asked Teacher Han to sit in the front yesterday. Zi replied that if it didn't work out with Xiao Qiu, she would sit in the back. Fan looked at the rows and seeing one of the guys realized that it looked familiar. And he seemed to remember. It's the rowdy guy from the exam. Wu remembered the principal's words as he asked him, what did the guy think? Did he become the champion? Let him look at the rosters. Let him see the difference between them and Fan. Wu told Fang that he had embarrassed himself in front of the principal because of him. Finally, the 2 of them had met. Zi at this time thought that it would be a good idea to separate. She wouldn't allow Fang and Chiu to be together for long. Fan walked up to the girl and said hello. Chiu was surprised and asked him if they knew each other. Fang replied that it's kind of like that. It's her neighbor who lives in house number 2. And her name is Jianing. Chiu said that's it, second place, so she's not only beautiful, but also strong. The other students kept saying it's great. Lundu has such beautiful girls and everyone around him. What's so great about that? At this moment, Xiao Xingming came out in front of them and told everyone to be quiet. After introducing himself, he informed them that he was the deputy director of Luanji University and a professor of the martial magic department. Zhao said first of all, he hurriedly rushed to greet them. He doesn't like to be vain, so the teachers will explain all the intricacies to them. And let him be allowed to tell them about some of the rules. They will be given an ID card, the only thing they will need in Lundu. Their points, which are the currency of the university, will be stored there. And points are needed to open secret realms provided by the university, as well as to purchase weapons, potions, and so on. They would be awarded first marks based on the points they received. But suddenly one of the students turned to the deputy and said that the difficulty of the provincial entrance exams were different. Was it fair? Zhao replied that he had taken that into consideration as well. He deducted the coefficient he thought was appropriate, so their scores would be equal, and the higher the difficulty of the test, the lower the deduction factor was. For example, the Southern Province test was the most difficult, so freshmen scored at least 96 points. Fan realized that it looked like the points would be very useful in Lundu. Zhao said that these points were temporary, because they would only be able to get the full points after the exam that would be held in a month, and the top 30 students will be allowed to enter Qingyuan class. And the students who enter Qingyuan will get a number of privileges. They will be able to apply to open secret realms inaccessible to others, make skill and equipment exchanges, move to other areas, and so on. The students were saying at this time that they had never heard of Qingyuan class. The other guy said that he hadn't either. It looked like they would have the opportunity to move. Fan understood at this moment that he could be considered a potential member of the Qingyuan class. But things could fundamentally change. He could lose the primacy. Zhao started laughing and said that he understood. They wanted to enter Qingyuan class, but hastened to inform, the thing is, even in the case of joining Qingyuan class, any disciple can challenge Qingyuan disciples in a substitute fight, and if the Qingyuan class students lose, they must give up their seat to the winner. Moreover, the student cannot refuse, and currently, the Qingyuan class has 30 people who are ranked at the top of the rankings. They have the champion of the Southern Province, Dragon Tamer Lu Fan, in first place. The disciples asked in surprise, is he in first place? He must be the first among the tamers too. The apprentice told his friend to keep his voice down, God forbid he hears. If he has a dragon, they are finished. If he does have a dragon, he's even more formidable. The guy said he looked, but he couldn't find any recordings of his performance. He's pretty good if he can get first place. Chen asked the princess when will they remove him finally? Zhu replied that he was still unclear about the details of his strength. We need to find out everything. Chiu told him that since the vice principal called out his name in front of everyone, didn't that mean that everyone would now run to challenge him? After the freshman assembly, Fan was glad that it was finally over. It was time to get down to business. Fan told the girls that he suggested they go to the Dark Realms Hall and take a look around. But suddenly, Wu came up from behind and told Fan that he wanted to challenge him. Fang asked with surprise, challenge? Wu replied that yes. The vice principal said that Qingyuan class disciples don't have the right to refuse to fight, and if he really has the power of a champion, why not test it? Wu realized that he couldn't watch the video of his exam, so there was no other choice. And in order to win, a thorough battle plan must be made. Fan asked if he was sure he could take his challenge. Wu replied that he was betting 200 points. Fan thought, only 200? I don't care, because 200 was a lot for him. He agreed to fight him at 200. The disciples said that they have already started fighting. They think the first dragon tamer is pretty interesting. Zhu said great opportunity to see Fang's abilities. Wu said he counts to 3 and starts. And immediately said it's 3 already. Su asked, Fan won't lose, right? Chiu replied that apparently she hadn't seen him in battle. Wu proceeded to battle to attack. Chiu smiled at this moment, and said that she would find out everything very soon. Wu was fearless in this matter, and to get his own, he was willing to do anything. He immediately pounced and said, it's time. Wu swooped down on him and the system said it was a stored energy strike, a method of concentrating energy that would double the damage when hitting any weak point of the enemy. But suddenly, Wu was greatly surprised. He thought it was the mana skill of the second transformation. How did Fang have such a resistance technique? Fan said that he had heard, Qigong masters are good at both close and long-range combat. But is that really all he can do? The system said glowing boots with them they can move to anywhere within a 50-meter radius. Recharge time 30 seconds. But Wu wasn't confused and swooped down on him and told him to die already. He used the enveloping wave. Wu said he won't have the strength to resist. And as long as he is idle, he will be able to win. But once he summons the dragon. But Fan was smarter than that, and swooped down on him with both feet and launched an attack. Wu was surprised and asked what, but Wu believed that in any case, his hard as a rock technique could not be penetrated by anyone. And he used hard as a rock, but no one expected it to turn out this way, and the students started saying he lost? But how is that possible? One of the students said that he didn't even use any skills. He knocked him out with just one kick. And Fan defeated Representative Qinggong before he even summoned the dragon. The student asked, Is that really all? He thought, Wu can handle it. But the other guy replied to wait, he's bleeding. Fan approached him and said that he still had a lot to learn. Shu asked the servant if he had been watching him. Was he sure he could overpower him? Chen replied that Fang hadn't summoned his dragon, so the strength was hard to estimate. But he would have a certain advantage. Shu said that he wasn't one of the weak ones either. Fan pulled out a card and looking at Wu said that he wins 200 points as a result of the bet. The system showed that this is Fanya's personality card, and the change in points is plus 200, and his current points are 13739. Wu was surprised when he saw how many points he had and realized that if translated into the Southern Province system, his points were about 1.3 million. Didn't Qintianji, the runner-up, have 210,000? Wu realized that it was too brave for him to try to defeat Fang. Arriving at the secret hall, Chiu said that they had summoned Sister Han. Kei said that the battle started so suddenly. Is his nephew all right? Fan replied that he was fine, don't let his aunt worry. Zhu said that he defeated Hong Wu so easily. Chiu laughed, and replied that she had said a long time ago that he was very strong. He is very powerful. Zhu said that she was afraid to even imagine how strong his dragon was. Chiu replied that she thought his strength was beyond their imagination. Fan took the clipboard and said that since everyone was here, could they have a look? He had just checked the secret realm provided by the university, and thought it was okay to try to pass it. Fan realized that he shouldn't have gotten a challenge from Wu today. Ke said that they could live together, but it was still a secret realm that could be extremely dangerous. Fan told her not to worry, he was sure he could overpower him. Zi looked and replied that if they were to form a team, with Sister Han there are only 4 of them, and a minimum of 5 is required. Fan asked, who else could be called to the team? Chiu replied for him to take a look. Her roommate is there, after all. She has the second highest overall score. She thinks she can handle a level 45 secret realm. Maybe invite her? Fan walks up to her and says hello to Ying, and then he realizes that she misunderstood him. But he realizes that he was acting rather strangely when he was looking for the egg. Fan said that she must have already seen the realm. In that case, would she not want to join them? He saw that Jianing was quite difficult to communicate with, so she would either say fine or get out. But Ying looked at him and said he was a pervert. Jia immediately looked at him and asked what he had done. Fan replied that it was a mistake. She got it all wrong. Fan said that he realizes that he acted rather strange when they first met, but he assures her he's a normal person. He thinks she's seen the secret realm too. They're one person short of a team, so why don't they team up? Ying looked and said it was a forest of poisonous spiders. And she agreed. Fan asked, exiting the team successfully formed? Xiu said that, for what it's worth, they did a great job. Zi replied that number 2 only had a few words to say. Fan walked over to the girl and said he could tell her the plan of action. Ying walked away and replied that there was no need. She put her card on the system and said that they were free to go. Fan noticed that she had a little over 8,000 points. She probably doesn't know about the difficulty factor of the Southern Province. Even in the most difficult Southern Province, the coefficient was extremely small, but her strength is 8,000, so don't underestimate her. After going through the portal, Chiu said that this was the forest of poisonous spiders. Ke closed her mouth and replied that it was hard to even breathe. Fan looked at it and said, it looks like they have arrived. This place is called the Secret Realm. Zi asked Fang why he chose a level 45 secret realm. The guy replied that he had been eyeing secret realms for a long time. The experience here gave more experience than anywhere else. Su was surprised and said that wasn't what she meant, was it? But Kei told them to wait. And since they are all here for elevation, everything must be shared equally. Fang replied that it was very useful. It will be elevated very soon. Kei said that the cookie recipe is only available at a high level, so not everyone can make it, and luckily, her skills increased the chances of a successful preparation. And let a classmate can try it too, and asked her, was that cake hers too? Kei asked, did she mean the pumpkin one? Of course, if she liked it, she can make it again. Chiu said that Sister Han's cooking is really good, and they live nearby, so guests are always welcome. But suddenly, Fan noticed a monster walking nearby and told everyone to be careful, they had been spotted. The system immediately showed that it was a level 40 black scaly python. Jia immediately pounced on the monster, but Chio told it to stop. Chio attacked the python but couldn't finish it off. Chio said that all the monsters here are at least level 40. It's not going to be easy. Kay looked at it and said she could make a meal to boost her defenses, but it would take a little time. Fawn replied that there was no need to be so tense. Let them not worry, he would handle everything. Z asked Fawn what he wanted to do. Ing looked and immediately realized that he wanted to summon a dragon. Fan immediately summoned an emerald. Everyone was surprised by this and Z asked, "So this is the dragon?" Fan replied, "So they don't worry, the emerald is just a little naughty." Chio asked, "It's not Shao, is it?" "So he has 2 dragons." Kay asked where he got that dragon from. She had never seen it before. At the moment of Python's attack, Fawn had told Emerald to activate the emerald light, but this didn't work on Python, and she attacked the girl. Chio immediately ran up to her and said that she would heal her now. She looked and asked, "Isn't there a wound?" At this time, Emerald started laughing and looked. Fan said, "Right, as long as the emerald is here, they'll be fine. They won't get any wounds." Chio said that emerald, dispersion, injury resistance, character enhancement, had better stats than the second transformation master. Z replied that apparently the dragon clan is very strong since even a small dragon is so capable. The python didn't hesitate and pounced on them with its sharp teeth. Kay saw this and shouted for them to dodge, because the monster was attacking. Fawn said he would deal with it now. But it was too late. A red beam went through his head and cut him into pieces. Ing said they wouldn't waste any time. And looking around, she indicated that they were ambushed. Fan now realized what swordsmen were. The strength of number 2 is truly amazing. Fan yelled for her aunt to run away. Ko didn't realize what her nephew meant, didn't even notice the monster behind her. Ing had time again and attacked the monster from afar to protect the girl. Fan at this time ran and pushed his aunt aside. Fan immediately realized that the silver armor spiders were immune to Jian Ying's blade. She tried to finish him off, but every time, all attacks were unsuccessful. Fan decided to join the battle too and told Ing to dodge. Ing answered him not to worry. Ing looked around and said he wasn't alone, and they could deal with them. So she used the destructive army blade. Ing even accepted her level 14 storm blade, and said that the Black Widow was here too. Fan went to attack with her and said that her weapons were marvelous. Her skills were top-notch. Ing replied that starting from level 1, swordsmen are able to create their own weapons and gradually improve them. But now was not the time to talk. Fan noticed that it was a bit like the Dragon Tamer class, where you could both raise dragons and improve weapons. Fan told Emeraldicus to apply Ismaritic Light, while Ian applied Mountain Crushing. Ing was surprised and thanked him for the 30% bonus. Fan noticed that the Bloodshed Blade pierced through the monster's defense, and the Storm Sword dealt increased damage, and she turns out to be a great swordswoman. At this time, Chio was telling Z to protect Sister Han. Fan said that there weren't many silver armor spiders, so he could deal with them on his own, and let her deal with the Black Widow. Ing looked up and was surprised. Fawn shouted at them to beware of the spider web. If they got caught in it, it was possible they could die. But suddenly Ing turned away slightly, while the spider threw its webs at her. But Emerald applied his defense, and shielded her from death. Fawn shouted to Ing not to run away alone, and ordered Emerald to heal her. Fan ordered him to have her go after Ing. Z said at that moment that the emerald light would help them a lot, so Fawn decided that he would leave his aunt to them. Running into the forest, he found Ing, and would help her deal with them. Ing was injured but tried not to show her weakness. Fan immediately applied the emerald light release, and turned around and said she was doing just fine on her own. As she turned around, she saw a spider web flying at her, in which she would die in 60 seconds. Ing immediately realized that things were bad. Fawn walked over and told her not to be afraid. She could rely on him. Fan immediately used the dragon claw. Ing was surprised that he slew them with a single strike. Supposedly, they didn't have that much difference in strength, but why was he stronger than her while using mountain crushing? Fan said that they should strike together, and immediately used the words of the wind spirits and the dragon bite. Ing looked at the situation and thought, how come there was such a difference in strength? Fawn at this time said that it was not bad, he had already obtained the 3rd level, and he thought that the 5th level was just around the corner. Ing turned away and said that this was the first time she was treated like a weakling. By this time, the girls came in and Chiyo said that the spiders and silver armor were finished, and Ka shouted to Fan that she had leveled up in time. Fan walked up to Ing and said that she was very strong, but she can't leave her comrade to his fate. Ing was very surprised, and she hadn't expected this from him. Kay asked Fang why not use the emerald's light? The guy replied that he didn't need it. Su asked him, can his giant heal? Emerald immediately used the life source. Chiyo rejoiced and said that she was now full of energy, but Z started laughing and told the guy his head turned green. And Fan ordered Emeraldic not to treat her anymore. Ing looked at this with surprise and didn't realize that this was the first time his comrades didn't annoy her. Going deeper into the forest, Z said it was very strange. The map cuts off at this point. Did they get to the end? Z looked around and said that there was still a large area ahead. But Chiyo came over and replied that it looked like the lair of the boss of the secret kingdom. Fan realized that the devourer and pack leader was in charge of all the spiders. It seems like we need to deal with them gradually. Chiyo told Sister Ka at once not to look down. Chiyo replied that this kind of scene could be traumatizing. And she's afraid that she won't be able to bear it. Kay said they had already protected her once, she thought it was her turn. And as she watched she started tearing up and saying it was disgusting. Fan saw this and wondered if this was a common fear. Ing said that in any case, one should kill his subordinates in front of the boss. Su said they need some kind of overall strategy, need to figure out exactly how to get close to the boss. But the cleanup would take at least 4 days. Kay asked with surprise, would it take that long? But there's only enough food for a day, are they going to have to eat fried spiders? Chiyo immediately started shouting that she didn't want to eat them. Fan raised his hand and said that they didn't necessarily need to follow any strategy. Ing asked him what he came up with. Z also asked him, what is it? Chiyo supported and asked, is it really ready? Suddenly, Fan shouted for Xiao to come out, and took her dragon form immediately. Z was surprised and said it was a fire dragon. So that's what a giant dragon looks like. Ing also felt a very powerful aura coming from the dragon. Fan told Xiao that she could rely on him, and sending her into the furnace told her to use the cataclysm attack. Ku was surprised and asked, Xiao can be like that too? Z replied that she is just like a legendary dragon. Ing said that it would even be more powerful. At this time, Fan ordered Emerald that it was time to apply the enhancement effect to Xiao. Fan asked Chiyo and Z if they could help. Chiyo replied that he didn't have to worry, they would protect Sister Han, and suggested to Ing that they fight the spiders together. Ing and Fan went to the scorcher and shouted that it was time to get started. After going downstairs, Fan immediately told Xiao to come over to him. Ing looked at the battle and saw the 3 stages of damage being inflicted. Unbelievable. She was about to be burned by the dragon's heat. Fan asked Xiao if they were okay. Xiao replied for them to go to the boss. She and Z can handle it. Fan shouted to Ing that it was time to go to the boss. They immediately pounced on him, but the boss let out a spit of venom. Fan told Emeraldic to use the emerald light, but the boss used the technique of catching it in one fell swoop. Fan dodged the net and ordered Xiao to make her act, and commanded that everything here was on fire. Ing was surprised to see that he had other powerful skills as well. This ability, even a city could destroy a city, and now it comes out, he is capable of destroying opponents with just one strike. Fan looked at the painting and told Emerald to act, but looking to the side he saw that Emerald had disobeyed the order. When he saw the bright light he asked, is that it? Fan looked at her after she turned into a girl and realized that she was just like Xiao. And Emerald had gotten a new form, but suddenly the spiders were still alive and attacked Ing. But she managed to use the Emerald Dragon's blessing, and let a few of her swords into them. Ing looked at it and asked, is it really over? First he couldn't even hurt a simple spider, and now he can kill the boss with ease. Fan understood that the Emerald Dragon's blessing was only needed to add points to the characteristics. Fang told Emerald that great. At level 5, new skills and form became available to her, and as they see, Emerald helped Ing deal with the spider by increasing the necessary characteristics. And if we apply her skills to Xiao, but by this time, the spiders were attacking again with their spitting venom. Fan ordered the Emerald Dragon to apply the Emerald Dragon's blessing to Xiao. After sitting on Xiao, she used the Emerald Dragon blessing. Xiao then immediately used the all-on-fire attack. Ing watched and was surprised from the flames. Xiao added the auxiliary effects of the emerald, resulting in more damage. Fan looked and told Ing and Emerald to get ready for the final blow. Immediately, all of them together struck the final blow. Fan immediately applied the Dragon Fang strike. Ing used the Emerald Dragon Blessing along with the Emerald Dragon Fang. After defeating the boss, the system immediately raised their level a step higher. Ing asked the guy how many points he scored on the exam. Fan looked and replied that it was somewhere around 1.3 million. Ing replied that his strength was definitely not 1.3 million points. Fan replied that it couldn't be helped, it was the maximum in his province. He shouted to Chiyo and Z to take Auntie away. But Xiao didn't like how Emerald was constantly molding herself to her master, and got very angry. Ing realized after the conversation that she had half as many points as Fang. But in terms of strength, there's a gap between them. There's no way to bridge it. By working together to exterminate spiders and Auntie's dishes, everyone will be rewarded accordingly. Z opened the chest and said what a marvelous piece of equipment. It would come in very handy. But Fan asked the dragons to let him go, and not embarrass him. And thanks to the team's solid teamwork, everyone stayed in one piece. Numbers 2 were delighted to be working with someone else for the first time. Chiyo on the way home said that was great and asked number 2 if they could exchange contacts. Ing replied that she didn't have a phone. Zhu encouraged the conversation and said then they would come by to pick her up when she decided to go to the secret realm. To celebrate success and team building, Auntie treated everyone to dinner. Kay said to eat and regain stamina. Ing started eating and suddenly said that it turns out they are all living together with this pervert. But Fan replied that he was saying that there had been a mistake. In the past few days, Fan had gradually familiarized himself with the rules of living here, constantly striving to improve his level. And every day he studied the theory of combat. In class, everyone was tired and suddenly someone told Z to answer. But she replied that she didn't remember. And so half a month passed, with only a couple days left before the freshman exam. And every day, they fought and got promotions. Fan told Z to go get the chest. Z was always excited and replied that it was already on its way. Fan said that he wanted to raise Xiao to level 20 and Emerald to level 15 before the exam. Apparently he didn't have time. Ing replied that she was doing fine, a storm blade of the same level as her. Z looked at the chest and shouted great. Zhu got dressed and said that she had now fully packed the necessary gear. Chiyo replied that it was wonderful. Now the ranking will increase, but suddenly Kay suggested that they should go back. It was time to make dinner already. Chiyo replied that yes, they were on their way. Fang said that on top of that, we also need to prepare for the freshman conference. We should get some rest. Ing replied that she agreed, but suddenly Ing suggested to Fang that he should come through with her. When he came out of the portal, he was surprised and asked, Teacher Han? Han replied that Deputy Zhao is actually looking for him. And he has something to report. Fan asked, and what's so important? Does he want to say something right before the conference? Han replied that she would find out soon. The students were saying at this point that they were not doing well in class. Han asked she was even wondering what they were talking about. Fan replied that yes, lately he's been studying all the time, there's no time to even chat. Han replied that he was the reason Wu was so eager to get into the class. Now the freshmen are betting on each other, calling it the new grading. Fan asked, with the new grading? Han replied that yes, the newbies fight each other, gaining points. The defeated ones get everything, and the losers can't even eat properly. Fan asked, what does 73 hun mean? Han replied that it is a unit of measurement in which he has 100 huns and Wu has 1. The thing is, he lost all his points, so now he only has to scrub floors so he doesn't starve to death. Walking up to the office, Han told him to let the guy pass. They were already waiting for him. Fan replied that he would be right in. Fang walked in and told Deputy Zhao that he was told he was looking for him. Zhao replied to let him pass. Zhao said that the national testing that is so much talked about is about to start, and it was originally supposed to be held in a few months in Taizi, but it was recently reported that the start date is being moved up. Taichi named their candidate. His name is Jin Chenghan. He is expected to reach level 60 within a month. Fan asked, is that why they are in such a hurry to start testing? Zhao slammed his fist on the table and replied, exactly. Most of the candidates had not yet achieved such results, so Taichi was betting on his contestant specifically. Fang realized that once he reached level 60, he would be able to access the third transformation. Then the difference between the two would become even greater. After all, he only had the second one. Zhao said that he was very sorry for what happened. After 2 months, he would only be able to reach level 30, and all the other participants would be at least 50. He might die. In previous years they always won, but now there is less time to prepare, and the countries have become more thorough in their preparations for the competition. And let him think, is he sure he wants to participate? Fan replied to Zhao that this was a great career opportunity. He wouldn't miss such a chance. Not only would he participate, but he would also win first place. Zhao said that since he had made up his mind, he would not discourage him. Let him try his best. Fan replied that of course he would give his best. And the next day, the freshman conference was held. Zhao said that he wouldn't talk much. They would be presented with the results of this year's certification, but first there would be a battle. The battle will be 2-on-2. The students were surprised and said that it turns out to be a team fight. The guy suggests to his friend that they team up and he promises they can do it. Chiu was saying at this moment that it was good that they wouldn't have any problems. Fang replied that Auntie's class wasn't martial, so they would be able to split into 2 teams. Zhao said he knows that many of them haven't formed teams yet, so now is the time. The preliminary round will be held this afternoon, and the top 100 teams will be announced by tomorrow night. And now they can register if they have already chosen a teammate. On the way, Chiu saw Z and shouted for her to come over to them. And Fan said hello to Ying, but suddenly a guy comes up and says that he's number 7, a swordsman, has been paying attention to her at a conference. And he hopes she'll take him up on it and make a team with him. But Ying replied immediately that she would refuse. Z told her friend that she was going and they better find a good teacher and sign up. But seeing the guy, she asked, "What's wrong? Why is he crying?" Chiu replied that many people want to form a team with Jianing, but she knows that there's no way she'll leave them behind. Fan thought about it and said that then he and Chiu would be on one team and Ying and Z would be on the second team. The next day came the preliminary round of the Lundu Rookie Round. The disciples shouted with joy and said that Chen had won 28 consecutive victories. Zhu walked up to him and said, "Not bad, 28 wins in a row puts him in the top 16. Chen immediately thanked for the praise. Chen said that their team was now climbing up to 7th place, which meant that it wouldn't be long before they could fight the first one. Zhu replied that Jing Qinghan's brother Jing Qihan would be coming to visit her soon. She would definitely introduce them, but then he would have to take first place. Otherwise there was no way. Chen told the princess not to worry. The referee shouted at this time that the fight was about to start. And both sides stepped up. Coming to the fight is number 18, Qing Tianji and Jing Zhu versus number 1, Lu Fan and Jianing. The students started shouting that 2 dragon tamers. And there are 2 of the best on the same team at once. The battle of the fittest. Battle of the dragons. Zhu asked in surprise, Fang and Ying are on the same team? Fan recalled the conversation about splitting up and Showing said that everyone can achieve good results. But suddenly Chiu told him that no. She and Ying should take the first place. Therefore, the top 2 should work together. Tsu said they don't want to pull them down. And Chiu told him not to worry, he and Tsu would be fine. On the podium, Chiu shouted for Fan to take the first place. Fan asked Ying while talking, a gap wouldn't occur, right? Ying looked and replied that of course. Fan walked into the waiting room and opened the chest and saw that he had some treasure maps, and now he would see what was what. Ying asked him if everything was okay. Fan was suddenly surprised and replied that everything was fine. Ying looked at it and didn't understand what was even going on. Fan saw and hadn't heard of this before. Fan told Ying that it was their turn. They can't lose. Ying asked before the battle started. They say that the opposing team also has a dragon tamer. Is that true? Fan asked. Why, does she want to compare them? Now they'll see who's who. Ying asked him if he would be calling for helpers. The guy replied that of course. Fan looked and said that in the forest, he discovered that they had similar abilities. And if he wins, all his characteristics okay? The referee said that the battle had begun. And Chen immediately took his spear in his hands and swooped down to attack. Chen said finally. He's been waiting for a chance to fight him for a long time. And now there's only one dragon tamer left. And it will be him. But suddenly at the moment of his attack, Chen was surprised by the guy disappearing in front of him. Fan said that if he refuses, there won't be another chance. Chin told the guy that his partner is not involved in the battle in any way. What's that supposed to mean? Fang replied that yes, there was no point in her joining the fight. He can handle them all by himself. Chu started laughing and said that his plans were not going to work, and he's too arrogant, and she wants him gone. Chin immediately ordered the Earth Dragon to attack. The dragon immediately obeyed his master's orders. Fang looked and said that his dragon had different fangs, and he would now help him align them. Fan picked up his sword and swooped down on that dragon, slashing one of its fangs. He used a dragon bite that absorbed the dragon's energy to deliver a powerful blow. The disciples were greatly surprised and asked if they had seen this. Fang single-handedly stopped the dragon. Could it be because it's an earth dragon? The guy replied, who cares? A dragon is a dragon. How can a human being defeat such a strong creature? Shu asked his man what he was doing. Let him kill him. Chin replied that he would carry out the order. Chin immediately ordered his dragon to make a sweep. He thought that they were both dragon tamers, so there was no special advantage for him. But if he made an attack with two skills at the same time, he definitely wouldn't dodge. But the moment the attack was made, everything changed and he didn't hit. Fan asked, did he think something like this would fly with him? Ing saw that the Earth Dragon's characteristics were quite high. But Fan even dealt with him with his bare hands. Chin immediately called him scum and told him to leave. Zhu replied that not only had Fan not summoned his dragon, but his teammate was also just standing there. Zhu said they're a real embarrassment in the eyes of others. Does he think she's going to put up with that, or will she let him into her state with such skills? Dreaming of becoming the strongest dragon tamer? Let her not even dream, and she wouldn't let her reputation be lost. Fan thought, was this the skill that could turn the people around her into monsters? And now it looks like Zhu used him again. And she's more serious than the last time. The students began to ask what happened to the dragon of the land. It was like it had gone wild. And teammate Chen reinforced it, and it looks like it's a foreign student. And Fang still hasn't summoned his dragon, so it looks like he'll have no choice now. Fan told him that he could handle it himself. Let him not forget their pact. Ing started to deny it, but Fan replied that he had seen this skill before. Zhu told Chen that it was a distortion of growth and strength, and told him to stop playing with it already. The guy replied that he was obeying. Zhu said she would take his black dragon. He'll be hers. Let her just summon him. Suddenly, the princess started laughing and asked, would his characteristics be enough to fight such an earth dragon form? And now they would see what he would do. Fan immediately summoned dragon magic, the anger of the ice dragon lord. The disciples started to say that it had become very cold here, and it turns out it's Fanya's dragon. Much cuter than Chen's dragon. But some people started saying that no, it's just an illusion. Must be a magic skill, Shu asked. It comes out that Lu Fan is capable of attacking both physically and magically? Fan replied that he agreed, his technique increases the target's characteristics. But who told her that he couldn't handle it? And then if she wants to take his dragon so badly? And immediately swooped down on her to punch her so hard that she crouched back down. Qin came over and set his weapon down, and told the princess to be careful, and would apply the earth dragon attack. Fan looked at everything and used dragon magic. It was the roar of a blue dragon lord. The students began to ask, the roar of the blue dragon lord. And wow, Fanya had used magic again. And this is no ordinary magic, it only works on dragons. He's replicating the technique on a dragon, even though he's not summoning his own. And that seems to be the end of Chin. Chin watched and didn't understand. How could it be? They are both tamers after all. But why such a difference in strength? Fan said that from the beginning. He thought why he didn't use any other skills other than the earth dragon attack? Shu asked Chen, what is he doing? Let him make the dragon fight. Fan said that dragon spear and dragon fang strike are only slightly different from each other. The weapons are different, but the skill is essentially the same. Fan asked, but why isn't he using dragon skills specifically? Like dragon claw and dragon momentum? Chen thought with surprise. A dragon claw? A dragon pulse? Could it really be his original skills? Zhu started yelling that he was scum. Just like Cui Hong Tai. Can't do anything. Fan replied that it seems like his contract didn't reveal all the skills he needed. Let him give up, he has no chance of winning. The difference between them is too big. Chen got angry and replied that enough is enough. Fan said that he has no hatred for him, and he has no reason to hate her either. Don't give in, you shouldn't be her slave. Chen got angry and told him to stop. He's preventing him from taking the title of strongest dragon tamer. Yeah, he has no self-esteem. And told the princess to take advantage of him. Chen asked her to use her technique on him. He would give his life to avenge him. Zhu laughed, and replied that he was making a point. And this is his very last chance. Chen replied that he was listening. Fan asked, and where did he get such loyalty to Jin Zhu from? He knows what she's like, doesn't he? Chen asked him, what does he even realize? Without the princess, he would be just an ordinary scum, and it's all for the princess. He will protect her at all costs. He agrees to actually do anything. Zhu started laughing and yelled to Fang that he was finished. Chen pounced on him and shouted at him to die, and used the dragon spear against him. Fan replied that he felt sorry for him, and used the wind spirit thunder. Chen did not expect such a turn, and was greatly surprised. Fan didn't stop there, and used his dragon Fang strike. Chen failed in his task, and seeing that he couldn't handle it, and apologized to the princess. Zhu asked the guy what he was up to. Don't be so arrogant. His brother is the #1 in the country. If he dares to lay a finger on her, he's dead. But Fan didn't feel sorry for her and punched her in the face, saying that her brother owed her a debt. The students began to ask what's wrong with this Fan? Why humiliate an already defeated opponent? It's an innocent girl after all. Fan said that he wondered if she would be able to return home. Suddenly, the deputy says to shut up. He declares the competition over. Fang and Ying's team wins. The deputy said to have Fan come into his office and have her continue her preparations. The deputy started to say that he kept wondering why he had such hatred for the Jin family. But then he became aware of the circumstances of their relationship. But the arena is not the place to settle their differences. Fan replied that the deputy had seen what happened to Chen after all. Ji was using him to her advantage. The deputy said for them to stop talking about it already. Let him read why he was called in. They have seen his performance. Therefore, advising him to refuse to participate further. Fan asked with surprise, refuse? He is not satisfied with him? The deputy responded that on the contrary, he has performed very well, so there is nothing and no one else to prove. And these are the top-level secret realms that the university had specially found for him in the Secret Realm Hunters Guild. Fang looked and realized that the Hunter Guild had a pretty good ability to find the information they needed, and the Secret Realm gives out very generous rewards after passing. Pretty good. The deputy said that the Mystery Kingdom Hunters put the found kingdoms up for auction, where they then compete for the opportunity to pass. If he likes something, let him know, they will compete. Fan looked at it, and said that the rate is too high. The deputy replied that Luanji University always keeps its promises and makes maximum use of the allocated resources. Fan immediately pointed and said, this is it. The deputy was surprised and asked, had he found something suitable? Fan told Deputy Zhao that he had chosen. And the next day, a rematch took place, and the first round of their rematch will feature the #1 team of Fan and Ying against the #3 team of Feng Yun and Ziyisen. And unexpectedly, the deputy said to let him announce the withdrawal of Fanya and Ying's team from the competition. The disciples were greatly surprised and began to ask, did Fan refuse to perform? After all, they had only come for him. Zhu heard everything and said how annoyed she was by the gossip. Chiu replied that she shouldn't listen to them. The guys must be entering the secret realm by now. Arriving in the giant jungle outside, Fai Longfan said that he apologized to her for having to follow him. In replied that she didn't care, because the seats would remain for them, and they would make a payment of 10,000. Isn't that nice? And she's grateful to him for bringing him into this realm. He will take the rewards for himself. The experience points he gained will be enough for him. Fang replied that he understood. He didn't like to be in debt. But suddenly a boy suddenly appeared in the tree and shouted for them to come over to him. Fan was surprised and asked who was there. Suddenly, a guy came down and told them not to be so nervous. He's from the Secret Realm Hunters Guild. And his name is He Shu. Fan said that they were from Lundy University. So is he the person who should escort them out? Shu replied that they would go then, since they were already here. He would take them to the teleportation gate and then rest, and it turns out their university is made up of rich people. What's their level? Fan said his was 25 and Ying's was 24. Shu was surprised and asked, only 25? Is he a sick person? This is a nightmare-level secret realm after all. People under 55 don't go there. Shu took the phone and said he would contact London University. There must have been some mistake, they can't be sent there. Fan looked and told them to waste their time. Suddenly, a bright light appeared above him. They started to run away quickly and Fan immediately applied the roar of the Blue Dragon Lord. Shu asked with surprise, what kind of skill is this? He definitely has a level 25 skill? It was a level 50 demonic winged dragon after all. Fan told Shu that level was not an indicator for them, let him lead them. After all, there's no time to waste. Shu agreed and told them to go. When they arrived, he said that this was the entrance to the Falong Cemetery. Fang looked and replied that it was coming out. That's where the portal had been hiding all this time. Shu said that was the end of his job, but suddenly, Fang told him to stop. And holding out his hand asked, could they be friends? He is a hunter of secret realms after all, he must know a lot of things. Shu asked with surprise, does he know a lot? Fan replied that of course he did. But he won't go unrewarded either. Shu asked, which comes out, he wants to buy information from him about the exact location of the secret realms? I mean, geographically? Fang replied that the Guild of Secret Realm Hunters would not give him information about other realms, and he was only asking for an indication of where they were going at the moment. He would point out the right path, that's all. Shu said that information is worth 100,000. That is the price of friendship. Fan shook his hand and replied that he agreed. Shu wondered how much money London University had. But in coming through the portal told him they were talking too much, Fang said in a general sort of way. He understood that the treasure map was at the top of that sacred tree, and asked the guy if he could feel it? An earthquake. Fan replied that no, it's dragons. The system immediately showed him that they were level 50 rotten dragons. Fan told Ing to get ready to attack. Ing immediately applied the mountain-crushing attack. But Fan saw that nothing was working and ordered Xiao to get out. Xiao immediately applied the lava tribe attack. But Ing didn't hesitate and attacked with the bloodshed blade. Ing shouted at the moment of battle for the destructive army blade to come. But the dragon kept up with her, and she saw that she wouldn't make it in time. But Fan saw this and decided to help. He headed straight for the dragon and applied the dragon bite. After the attack, he shouted to In to immediately grab his hand. In managed to grab his hand and the guy cushioned their fall with his blade. Fang told her to be more careful. After all, their target wasn't on Earth. Ing smiled and replied that he had saved her again. After the rescue, Ing felt something again and asked, more dragons? Fang replied no, from above, and sheltered her from the dragon. Fan immediately turned to Xiao to fight him. But in a moment, she looked at the huge dragon. The bone dragon opened its big mouth with Xiao. Ing was surprised and said she was there. Ing said that the mad bone dragon ate Xiao. Fan replied that she was fine. He would help her and let her keep walking. Ing tried to stop him and said that the rabid bone dragon was very dangerous. Fan shouted to Xiao to take the form of a destroyer dragon. Xiao was in the mouth of the dragon at this time, and upon hearing the order, she immediately began to transform. And the mouth of the bone dragon began to glow. The bone dragon didn't realize what was happening. But Xiao turned into a destroyer dragon, and tore open the mouth of the enemy. Ing was surprised and realized that Xiao had another form. But this was something she hadn't expected from Fang. At the moment of the attack, Fan ordered Emeraldica to use the Emerald Dragon's blessing. Emerald immediately used the blessing. Fan ordered her to keep close to Xiao. Fan pounced on the dragons and used a terrifying roar attack. He descended after destroying it, but he was suddenly surprised. After all, the bone dragon's eye began to glow, and immediately took its current form. Fang turned around and asked if he was still alive. But suddenly, he saw a weapon pierce the dragon's head. Fang asked, why is she coming here? Suddenly, he saw Ing flying on the weapon. Ing said that she was keeping her end of the bargain. He had defeated Chen alone, and as they had agreed, she would tell him the secrets of her class. Fan said he agreed and ordered her to get ready to strike. Ing replied that once a swordsman reaches level 5 exactly, he would receive one weapon, and she has this fiery sickle. and immediately applied an explosion of negative karma. Her power was so great that her sickle created fire. Fang was surprised and now realized what was coming out. This is what swordsmen can do. Can get different weapons to acquire new abilities. Fan told Emeraldic that it was their turn. She immediately accepted the Emerald Dragon's blessing. Fan immediately ordered Xiao to use the Earth Burst. They defeated the Bone Dragon and increased their levels, and realized that even though she used her technique, the dragon still did the main damage. Ing apologized to Fan and said that she couldn't even budge. She and Xiao were able to overpower the boss by themselves, and she didn't help at all. Fang replied that everything was fine. In any case, she had done a very good job today. In addition, it was thanks to her that the emerald rose to level 15. Ing asked with surprise, level 15? So she had gotten an enhancement? Fang replied that upon reaching level 15, the emerald had gained the ability to take on new forms, just like Xiao. Fan said that he thought it wouldn't be easy to achieve the transformation, but despite his young age, apparently he was wrong, and decided to try out the emerald shape. Ing started to walk away and said she suggested they move slowly. Suddenly, a barrage of fire attacks suddenly descended upon them. Ing said it was a magic attack. Fan replied, telling them all to be more careful. Hiding himself, he said that it seemed the rabid bone dragon wasn't the main problem. It only attracted other monsters. Fan looked at the system and told Emerald to enter the soul light form and help Xiao. Running up, he ordered Xiao to have her cover them, and suggested to Ing that they climb the sacred tree. The system immediately showed that Emerald took one transformation of the Emerald Dragon's soul light form. Ing turned around and said that the effect of the Emerald Blessing was so powerful. Fan replied that yes, it has pretty good characteristics. Fang thought that the Destroyer form combined with the Emerald Dragon's soul shelter increased strength. She already had over 26,000, and he wants to climb the tree as soon as possible and betray Zhao's dragon inspiration. Then her strength will increase to 30,000. Fan told Xiao not to resist and went forward, and ordered her to absorb the damage. Emeraldica then told her to use air damage. She immediately obeyed and attacked with air damage. The dragon started to fall and Ing asked with surprise, "Is this an emerald skill?" Fan replied that yes it is. Soul Sanctuary not only protects Xiao but also accumulates damage for counterattack. Ing actually thought that upgrading a dragon's level was similar to upgrading a weapon. But things are fundamentally different. Even with the use of hidden techniques, she still had a long way to go before Fang. But all of a sudden unexpectedly they stopped and Fang said that they were almost there. Ing immediately replied to him that there was a steel bone dragon. The dragon immediately took a steel bone strike and dealt 10,000 damage. It immediately swooped down on Xiao. Ing said that he looked a lot like a rabid bone dragon. And we need to help Xiao. Fan replied so she wouldn't worry. Fan immediately ordered Emerald to have her prepare for a soul shock. He then ordered Xiao to have her use the Dragon Pulse. By using 2 attacks at the same time, they were able to slightly take away the steel bone dragon's lives. But things didn't go according to plan, and the dragon revived attacking the guys. Ing said it's bad. He's coming this way. Ing realized that even if she was weaker than them, she still needed to do her part. So she used an explosion of negative karma. Ing looked at it, and told the guy that she didn't do any damage to him. Fan replied that it was fine. She had helped him a lot. But suddenly Ing shouted at him to dodge. Fan immediately called out to Emerald to have her come over to him. Fan immediately attacked the dragon with his sword and used the dragon bite. It absorbs the dragon's energy to deliver a powerful blow. And after the victory, Fan told Xiao that she finally reached level 20. Ing replied that Emerald is already strong at her 15th level, while Xiao was only able to handle the steel bone dragon alone at 20. She is afraid to imagine what will happen next. Fan replied he thought Xiao had no trouble dealing with his opponent. Well, time to continue on his way. Ing suddenly started laughing. Fan asked what was the matter? She replied that she remembered a phrase here. Ing repeated Z's words that with such a strong dragon, he would kill everyone in his path. Fang laughed, and replied that it turns out he can joke too. That's not like her, and said he must have cheated on her. After all, they'd been walking together for a long time. Fan replied that she was more talkative now, which was cool. When he first saw her, she sounded really nice. Ing asked with surprise, "Is her voice pleasant?" Fang replied that of course, besides she was very nice. Had no one ever said that to her before? She rarely interacts with people, and she doesn't have any friends. Fan said that they should not be about sad things, it is better to continue the journey. But Xiao and Emerald began to quarrel and even fight. Fong was angry and ordered them to disperse. Ying said that she had reached level 25 after defeating the dragon. Fan asked if she had unlocked the weapon. Ying showed and replied that Manhwa increases dexterity, quite useful. But she's only at the first level for now. Fan accepted this and said that he congratulated her on reaching level 25. Ying realized that even if she improved all her blades, it was unlikely that she would be as strong. But will she ever be able to do the same kind of damage? She thinks Fang's teammates are always under pressure because they are compared to him. Ying said that if it was repeated by others, she would believe it. Fan asked with surprise, will he believe it? He thinks after Wanhua Blade's exaltation, she will be unrivaled. Ying said they should get going now or it would get dark soon. But suddenly they saw a dead body and he asked, is it from the research camp? Ying replied that it looked like they had been dead for a long time. Fan realized that they were all warriors, and they had been dead for a long time. Did someone ambush them? Fan told Ying what he thought. This place is full of monsters, let her be careful. Ying asked, he means is this an ambush? Suddenly, a level 60 bronze dragon emerged from the bushes. But behind it came a level 65 three-headed elemental dragon. Fan was surprised and realized that there were two bosses at once. Ying said, coming out, they had been hiding all this time. The three-headed dragon immediately attacked them with triple mania, and activated skills at once. Xiao immediately pounced on them and her strength against him didn't even work. And the dragon used the bronze armor. Ying said that the bronze dragon granted the three-headed one bronze armor. She thinks Xiao won't be able to strike, and that's why we need to take care of the bronze dragon. Fan told her to relax, he had an idea. And ordered her to have her summon Wanhua. The system immediately showed that an emerald dragon transformation had been used. A form of light and soul. Fan told Emerald to take the form of a soul light, and activate the soul shock. And let Xiao take the form of a world destroyer. And they rely on her. But Fan saw that the dragon was able to dodge and even attacked. The guy immediately ordered Xiao to use the new pressure skill. Xiao immediately activated all her powers. Applied stun, fear, and immobilization, enclosed her ears abruptly and asked, Xiao's pressure is that powerful? Her head is splitting. Fan replied for her to be patient, it will be over soon. The system showed that she was getting 12 points of energy after the soul shock. Fan told Xiao that the bronze armor was pierced, let her act. Xiao immediately started fighting them and destroying everything in her path. Fan pulled Ying away and told her to be careful, she would be spewing fire now. After defeating the bosses, Fan said that they had done a good job. There was still a lot to learn from Xiao. Ying was saddened and felt that she was once again unable to help in any way. And she is afraid that Yunbei's genius is not that helpful. Fang said we should kill all the heads. He suggested that Xiao should do it, and rest for a while. Before bedding down for the night, Ying told the boy that Sis Han had left something here and offered to eat. But looking around she saw that no one was there. Ying thought that apparently number 2 wasn't as good as Fanny yet. Fan looked at the system and it said he had discovered a treasure. He apologized and saw that he had come here for the treasure map. Entering the treasury, the soul of a level 70 Dragon King appeared in front of him. Fawn was greatly surprised that the strongest boss in the Nightmare Realm was level 70. Fawn said not to underestimate him. And now they need to fight him. But at this time, the dragon's soul had already headed out to attack them. But Ying at this time realized that he was saving her again and again. Isn't he still tired? Ying had accepted for herself that she could no longer back down. And Yunbei's genius should have surpassed the Dragon King long ago. Ying wondered, could she do it? Even if she wasn't as strong as Fang still. Fang realized that level 70 was quite difficult, it was very dangerous. So he ordered Xiao to get ready for the lava flames. The system immediately showed that the skill was activated, and immediately attacked the soul dragon with its flames. Fan then immediately ordered Emerald to activate the eternity form. But suddenly she saw the blades and asked, is that Wanhua? And immediately shouted that she would help him. She used her 1000 blade drop attack. She yelled at him not to worry, she would be able to help. Fan accepted this and replied that he understood. Emerald at this time unlocked the Life Pulse skill and then the Eternal Defense skill. Xiao immediately ordered her to activate the Pulse of Life skill. Fan realized that this was a good skill for him, considering that it improved 2 techniques at once. The effects of the techniques were even more enhanced. Fan shouted to Xiao to finally let them finish him off. At this time, he immediately used his dragon tongue. He directed his full energy at the dragon and applied the roar of the Blue Dragon Lord. Ying was greatly surprised and immediately realized what it was. Fan said, "Here comes the forbidden dragon language." He was about to activate his skill. The dragon's forbidden tongue was fully activated. Fan realized that they were going to get hit and shouted to Emerald. Fan asked Ying if she was okay. Ying replied that if it wasn't for Emerald, they would be dead. Fan said that yes, the Emerald's eternal defense was a real lifesaver for them. It was a good thing that it had self-repairing abilities. Xiao got really angry at the same moment. Fan replied that they couldn't have done it without Xiao either, of course. Ying said that she always thought that if the opponents were 2 different levels, for example, one was 20 and the other 30, they wouldn't be able to fight. Apparently, very much mistaken. Fan replied that yes, this was the first time he had fought a level 70 boss. It was like he had an epiphany. He told Ying that he actually came here for a few things, not to kill the boss. Ying replied that it was fine, it didn't change the point. And anyway, she was flattered. Now she wished she could tell him that he was very strong, but she wasn't going to fall behind either. Upon opening the chest, Fan was greatly surprised. He noticed that the chest contained a legendary item. So now all the effects of the dragon were removed, but the second subject, he can't call it a very useful skill, but it's certainly good too. But the dragon becomes a riding animal. It turns out that once Xiao reaches level 30, he will be able to move around on it. After receiving all 3 items, Fan felt that it was a good prop. It was only a pity that the number of uses was limited. Ying asked Fang if he was done with the awards. Have him look at the emerald. What's wrong with her? Emerald has found the source of life, and through his friendship with the dragon, his health and that of his allies will be restored. Fan walked over and asked, Emerald? Looking around, Ying said she was healing trees. Fan said that the life source can heal allies, so it turns out trees are allies of Emeraldicus? Seeing something strange, Ying asked, is this really the launch of a hidden mission? Fan replied that it seems Emerald is able to communicate with plants. Probably some extra item to complete the task. Fan looked and found that from the looks of it, they needed to kill one of the dragons to complete the task. And the level of the Dragon Lord is much higher than the Nightmare level. You will probably have to try very hard. And the quest is not time limited, but you have to be between level 60 and 90 to complete the quest. Fan told Emerald, not bad. If it wasn't for her, they would never have known about the secret mission to heal the tree. Suddenly something occurred to him, and he took out an object and asked Emerald, could she absorb it? Fang said that doesn't mean he feeds her everything indiscriminately. It's just that Emerald has special skills that help to merge and enhance abilities. But if her absorption failed, just let her forget, things don't always work out. And suddenly she saw what she had eaten. Ying asked with surprise, come out, is she really capable of this? Fan looked at the system and said, it's a beauty, and now Emerald can summon 2 Dragon Lords. This is now her skill, so there is no limit to the number of summons. The system showed that the Dragon Lord's soul was level 18. Ying said that the boss had become a summoning beast, surprisingly. Fan said that the body size had shrunk a lot, now Emerald had his own pet too. Ying was surprised and thought, is it really a dragon pet? And the guy is getting bigger and bigger amazingly. Ying said, probably already tired of mopping up such a high-level realm, they'd better go back. Sister Han must be worried. Fang replied for her to go, and he would follow. Opening the system, he realized that he still had unfinished business. At Lundy University in the number 1 house, Fan said that they have spent so much time together, and thinks it is worth clarifying. Fan asked Xiao, why doesn't she stop bullying Emerald? Why doesn't she act like normal sisters? And Emerald is also constantly bullying Xiao. Isn't it time to stop and turn her attention and concerns to the new family member? Fan showed the egg and said that it was time. Suddenly, all of a sudden, he got angry and asked, are they even listening? Apparently, they are in a hurry to go somewhere, but they don't even think about it. Fang said it was a future member from the family, and now they should give her a warm welcome. He thought the star dragon egg, and this is the third dragon. I wonder if it's a boy or a girl. Fang applied his strength and said that it was strange. The technique was working after all. He understood that she had 2 dragons, but to get a third would have to reach level 30 and open. Fan said that it wouldn't be easy, and it looks like they'll have to go to the poison forest to move to the next level. In the meantime, they need to take a break. Chiyo asked Fang, is he back? Let him get up already. The guy opened the door and asked, what happened? Chiyo showed the newspaper and said that this post had already traveled all over the university. Fan asked, did they wake him up to show some post? Chiyo replied that this post about his departure, the whole forum has already read it. Fan asked with surprise, Fongyun Pavilion? Chiyo replied that originally there was no such pavilion, but then numbers 3 through 6 joined together, creating a large team, which has now grown to about 30 people. But it is Jiang and Jing who take the lead in the pavilion. Fan said that he is the real number 1. But why does everyone think Jiang Fongyun is the first? Z replied that this Jiang said that he was ready to reclaim his number 1 spot and wanted to fight him in a fair fight. Chiyo said that because only number 1 will be able to participate in the player selection for the national tournament. Apparently, Jiang really wants to get there. Chiyo realized that coming out was exactly what he needed to win first place for. She said, a real scoundrel. He took advantage of his absence and made a fuss. Z told them to stop this idle chatter. It was better to hurry up and report everything to Jianing. Fan said then let Fongyun Pavilion try to stand up to him. Chiyo asked, what does he mean by that? Fang replied, so they can lend him the thing for a while. He wants to strike back. At this time in London University, in the VIP arena, Su Jing, and had a hidden class, and was a mage of forbidden techniques. Suddenly, Jing abruptly stood up and told Brother Jiang that Fan had answered. But at this time, he was practicing with his eyes closed. But he wasn't training alone, he was training with real warriors. He immediately applied his multiple attack technique. The guys were surprised and said, where did Brother Jiang get this skill from? Where did such movements come from? He doesn't have the time. Jiang easily knocked them all out and told them to heal them. And what about Lu Fang? Jing replied that he had posted a message and it was better for him to see for himself. Jiang said that he is crazy. He thinks he can take out everyone in the pavilion. Jiang told his servant to tell him to come to the arena tomorrow. Jing asked his brother, will they fight Fan? Jiang replied that of course. Let all the members of the pavilion come. He wants to slay everyone? He wants everyone to realize who the real number 1 is. It's all about comparison. And at the same time, Chiyo was telling Fang that Jiang was ready to fight, and she had heard that Jiang would be competing in the semifinals today. Wouldn't he want to watch? Fan replied that to be honest, he didn't care about his ability. He wouldn't have to go to the secret realm anyway, but here, he didn't have to go far. Kay told Fang that arrogance will do no good. It's better to know what your opponent is capable of. Tsu replied that's exactly right. So it's better to go, they have more supporters than him anyway. Chiyo told the guy that now a real celebrity on the forum, rumors might start if he started watching Jiang. Ke suggested that it should be done quietly then. Arriving at the arena, Chiyo asked, is Xiang participating in the next round? Chiyo replied that she thought yes. Otherwise, so many people from the pavilion wouldn't have come. Kay at this time was asking if Auntie had dressed him well? Now no one would recognize him even if they looked. The deputy picked up the microphone and said that the semifinals were about to begin. But Fan immediately stood up and started to leave. Kay asked Fang, where is he going? The competition is about to start. Fan replied that he wasn't interested. He wants to go for a walk. Have them recruit him once it's over. The deputy said that teams are invited to play in the semifinals. He decided to go to the principal's office. Upon knocking on the door, the deputy asked the director if he had seen the latest forum posts. What did he think about it? It's about Fan and Jiang. The director replied to him to just let Gu Han continue watching. Let him not interfere himself. Zhao said that he thinks Fang is too strong, he shouldn't fight him. He is worried that something might happen. After all, Qin is still recovering. The principal told Zhao that the vice-rector was thinking too much. He better worry about himself. They need someone in a month. They need to decide if Fang can handle representing them in the competition. Fan asked with surprise, in a month? So soon? The rector replied that the national test would be held earlier than scheduled. Zhao replied that Fang would soon receive the elevation. Let the rector consider all the peculiarities. In fact, he thought that the messenger Qian should be contacted and resolved. The rector said that the vice-rector is ill-informed. After all, Qian Su is no longer the envoy. After all, Chen Beiho is now the envoy. Zhao thought that Mr. Qin had mentioned him when he talked about Jing Zhu and Fan. Beiho had retired once after all. He is aware of Zhu and Fan. He thinks the relationship with him is not the best. The rector said that he used to hold very high positions, but after multiple demotions, there was nothing left but to retire to envoys. The rector asked with surprise why was he silent. Zhao immediately replied that he was apologizing. Zhao told the rector that if he is the envoy for the national test, he is afraid that Fan won't be able to pass far. The rector replied that Fan is already their candidate. Does he understand what needs to be done? Zhao replied that yes, he would. He will help him get elevated as soon as possible to compensate for his lack of level. But there's still a battle between Fan and Jiang tomorrow. What does the master think? The rector asked with astonishment. What? He'll come and see for himself. He can't miss such an event. At this time at London University, in the connection room, the guys were asking how much more the guy was going to lose. Isn't this already the 100th time? And it must be that only the truly powerful can get in. You have to be above level 29. The beat-up guy told the guys not to go in there. It's a living hell. The guy knocked and asked who the owner of the room was. Do they know him? And this guy is so familiar. But he can't remember. Fang at this time thought that he would rather go to the poisonous forest than rot here. But suddenly, someone appeared in front of him and walked towards him. Suddenly, a beautiful girl appeared out of the darkness, who said hello to him and asked if he wanted to fight her. Fan said hello to her. The girl started laughing and said that her level was much higher than his, so he should be more polite, then he wouldn't get hurt. Fan replied that there was no need for that. The girl asked, really? Then she would not be courteous. Fan realized immediately that this girl was definitely not as simple as she seemed. And she immediately swooped down to attack him with her fire powers. But in a moment she said that she wasn't like the others, and he's got a lot of strength. Fan repelled all of her attacks and felt that she was strong. But at what level is she? The girl said he blocked pretty well. His attack didn't hurt her. Is he really afraid of hurting her? And better watch out, or she might teach him a lesson. Fan replied that he understood. Immediately, they began to fight like a real battle, and no one yielded to each other. Outside the door, the guy said she was very strong. Wouldn't that be a problem? The other guy said to keep them quiet. There's no need to yell. They're still fighting. At this time, the referee said that the competition was over. The guys looked and replied that Jiang's battle was over. The referee said that Jiang and Jing's team won. Jing told Jiang that the guys in the pavilion said that Fan had secretly passed through to watch their battle. Jiang replied that he didn't expect anything else. In fact, he didn't even show half of his strength. And he thinks that Fan is impressed. Jiang shouted to the entire audience that Fan didn't have long left. He wouldn't stand a chance in tomorrow's competition. Zhu said it was time for them to leave and turned around and asked where is Fan. Chiu replied that it was going out. Jiang had found out that Fan had come to watch. Kay immediately opened her phone and said that it seemed like he had already left, so she decided to call him. Fan at this time was fighting and fending off the girl's attacks. Thought, what's wrong with her? Incredible strength. But suddenly the girl with her weapon removed his cap and said not bad. In 15 minutes she still didn't understand his strategy. Fan Yu actually feels like right now, if she fought at full strength, she would have put him down in 2 punches. Why is she acting like this? The girl told the guy that his stamina was weak. And anyway, he's very handsome. She asked, why doesn't he light up his face? But suddenly he picked up the phone and answered that he had a call. He picked up the phone and told Auntie that he was on his way. Fang thanked her for such an experience, and asked if she could leave him her number before she left. The girl replied that he just got in and he's already asking for a number? She didn't think he was like that. Fan said that he wasn't. He just wanted to arrange to practice together. The girl replied to let him forget about it. Let him just come into this room if he wanted to meet. Maybe they would see each other again. Fan wondered who she was. Besides, he had almost lost. She was definitely not an ordinary student. Could she be a teacher? Is there such a person in the university? Points were awarded to him. Did she really admit defeat? Fan immediately ran to the podium and shouted to his sister. He wondered hard, where did that power come from? Not only had she not taken the glasses, but she hadn't given him any contacts. She disappeared too. Was it a ghost? Kay shouted at the same time to him that they were here. Let him come over here. Tsu asked him what was wrong with him. Fang ran over to them and realized he hadn't found it. And he had also blabbed. The next day, after the freshmen's final evaluation, there were many people gathered in the arena at Luanju University. The students said that there were so many people here. But it couldn't be otherwise. This was the final between Jiang and Fan after all. The girl replied that one person has to fight the entire pavilion. Jiang asked, why was Fang still not here? If he was scared, then they would come to him in person. Let everyone see who's number one. Jing asked his brother how much longer they should wait for him. Suddenly, he shouted that Fan had come to the arena. Jing immediately told everyone to get ready immediately. Fan apologized and replied that he wasn't late, was he? Fan ran out with food in his mouth and said they could start. He just had a bit of business to attend to. Jiang asked him if Fang had decided to finally show up. The guy replied that he wasn't late, that he had come just in time. Fan said that he didn't know how big their pavilion was, but he didn't care. At least they can all attack together. The bullies started shouting, what a daredevil he is. Does he think he can compete with brother Jiang? Does he want to die? Jiang says that since he doesn't take them seriously, they won't take them kindly either. And he bets 7,000 points. Fang replied that he had completely forgotten about the bet. And he bet 17,000 coins. Jing told his brother that's too much. They don't have enough. But Jiang immediately told him to shut up. Jiang was surprised that the guy appeared to be brave. If he could win back this 17,000, there would be nothing else to worry about. He could safely continue his studies for at least 3 years. Jiang shouted to the entire audience that Fengyun Pavilion was putting everything up. It was time to get started. The disciples started asking, did they really only have 17,000? Fan said that's great, the bets are placed, they can start. Qing replied that they shouldn't have treated their head like that. Jian told the guys at Fengyun Pavilion, have them get ready immediately. Giving the order to attack, Qin immediately used the copper lock curse attack. Grabbing the guy's chains, Jian said great job. And now it was their turn to advance, but Fan proved to be much stronger, and easily broke all the chains. He pulled out his blade and began to defend himself. Jean was surprised that he could still move, and grabbed him with one hand and immediately dented him into the ground. The disciples started shouting that he had straightened up with his bare hands. And Jin's control is useless. Is the dragon tamer really that resilient? Jing got behind him and used a stiffness curse immediately. But Fan used his attack, and responded with fire. Jiang also possessed a fire attack, and attacked behind his friend. Fan asked, are they the leaders of the freshman trial? Fan asked, are they really that weak? Jian at this time stood under the guy's leg and asked Qin, what about his curses? Qin was very surprised and said that it couldn't be, he had worked his ass off. Fang replied that he shouldn't blame him. He was just getting help from the dragons. His characteristics were high, so skills of this level were useless. Jian immediately moved away from his foot and used his multiple attack. The disciples began to talk. He was finally starting to fight in earnest. And brother Jiang begins to attack. Jin asked, what was the difference between him and Fan? Why didn't his skills have any effect? Fan told Jian that he had to admit that he was so good. He took the first place, so he will show the difference between him and Chen. Jiang asked, what was he going to do? Was it really summoning? Suddenly, Fan immediately summoned a dragon. The students started shouting that it was a dragon. It's so huge. Everyone is running out of the pavilion. They should go too, and it turns out it's a real dragon. And they should probably run away. Jian realized it was over. And this dragon is much cooler than Chen's. A living legend. Jing was scared and shouted to his brother to run away too, let him not stand there. Fan looked at him and said it was useless to run away. Fan said, because he was already attacking. Xiao immediately took the pressure attack. But the effect was stunned, frightened. Jian started laughing and felt that he was laughing. And could he really be defeated? He can't even move. Jian realized matter-of-factly that he needed to escape. Fan showed the map and asked, "So which one is number 1? And all their points go to him." Fan told Xiao that the assignment was done. And it was time to go back home. In Lundu, the guys were in the scoring room. Xiao said that if it wasn't for classes, they would definitely come to cheer for him. "How's his health?" Fan replied that it was fine, he had earned a lot of points. He would definitely share it with them when he got back. "He has to go, they'll talk later." Opening the door, Fan said, "The sissy turns out to be here." The girl asked. He hadn't been waiting for her all this time, had he? Fong replied that he was looking forward to seeing them. He didn't see the point of fighting others anymore, and after all, her level is above 70. She's not a high school student, right? Zhao walked over to the body and felt for a pulse, and said that it looked like the force of the blow was quite strong. But there was no danger to their lives. The girl asked the guy if he wanted to fight again. Fong replied that he didn't want to fight again, but just wanted to clarify something. And since she entered here, her level is definitely above 700. So she's definitely not a student. The girl asked, "Is that it?" Who did he think he was then? Fan said that she looked young, but the level and strength definitely didn't look like the characteristics of a student. Must be a teacher? The girl started laughing and replied that he could still call her sis. Interesting, when he doesn't hide his face, it's much nicer to talk to. The girl said that, and one more thing. If he wants to see him here again, let him not set the level above 70, or he won't come. Fan laughed, and replied that it was fine. He thought that apparently he shouldn't set level 80, but he wanted to so badly. The girl said the technique he used last time, he used it during the battle with Jiang. Fan defended himself and replied that it was working out, she was watching him play. The girl said he summoned a dragon in just a few swings, impressive, and his attack speed is not insignificant, she appreciated. Fan thanked her, and said that he wasn't very good at close combat yet. The girl immediately launched an attack and wounded his arm. Fan didn't have time to dodge and asked why she did that. The girl replied that even though he had progressed, he was still far from perfect. Fang said that no, she got it all wrong. He just wants to learn from her. She is very capable. Thanks to her, he won the previous battle and earned 100 points before that. And if his sister agrees to train him, he will definitely be successful. He will learn a lot. The girl started laughing and asked, "Does he want to be her student?" Not bad. He'd better do his own training. But if he wanted to learn a few more of her tricks, let him bring his aunt's dishes. Fang replied that no problem. And there would definitely be no problem with her. Fang said that since she's here, maybe they could see what she's learned. And then he'll start. Fan immediately attacked, but the girl repelled his attack and said, "Not bad speed," and in that case, she would try her weapon on him. She immediately attacked and asked, "And how was he?" The girl said the weapon was out of his control now. She changed it, "And how's he doing?" Fang pretended to be surprised and said that he had been using weapons for a long time, but he had never encountered such a thing before. The girl pounced on him and asked, "And what was he going to do?" Fan replied that he wanted to eliminate a level. The girl showed her weapon and asked him if he knew what it was. A very rare and expensive technique? Fan initially didn't understand, and yelled for her to stop. The girl replied that he would regret it yet, and let him die. And in the evening of the same day, Ka said that she thought she and Jiang Yun were going to kill each other. Fan replied that his whole body ached, and she didn't even break a sweat. Ing said that from her description, she didn't think she was teaching here. Chiu looked at the clipboard and replied that Fan was back on the forum. Chiu said that after the battle with the pavilion, she and Xiao became real stars. Ka replied that everyone knows he won. Will the arguments subside now? Fan replied that he was hopeful. Ing said that she thought things would only calm down if he subdued Fengyun Pavilion. Let him become from the new leader. Fang said he's seen this kind of thing before. He thinks we need to focus on their target. Ing asked, "Then what is it?" Coming out to battle. Ing said that coming out was a promotion, but she thought he was training with his sister. Fang replied that of course promotion. He needs to become very strong. He immediately used the dragon bite against the monster. Unexpectedly, Fang said that he could feel it. And here it is. He had finally reached level 30, so asked him what he was waiting for? And suggested he go to the hall. Ing said that at level 30, you can ascend to the second transformation.